Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Invincible Sect Leader. The succubus disciples are scarred at the beginning. Chapter 81. Her skin is cold white, her facial features are delicate and proud, and her pair of particularly slender legs are extremely eye-catching. Her temperament is somewhat similar to Lang Luoli's, but the difference is that Lang Luoli's temperament makes people feel that they should not approach strangers. Long Lan's words gave people a feeling of fear, as if he was born to be in a superior position. There is a pair of Y-shaped dragon horns on her head, and she also wears a golden crown on her head. Although her injuries were not visible on the outside, she could feel that her aura was very weak. When Long Lan saw Bai Yawei's appearance, she forced out a smile and said, "Xiao Bai, you are finally here. Why did you remember that you turned into a human? Well, you are still so cute. What a monster becomes when it takes the form of a human depends on what it was like when it was a monster. For example, when Bai Yawei was White Tiger, she was actually the cute type in monster race. It's just that as a human, you can't see this. I have a name now. My name is Bai Yawei. Stop calling me Xiao Bai. What happened to you that you were so careless that you failed to break through?" Based on Bai Yawei's understanding of Long Lan's talent is incredible. Although it is dangerous to break through the Violet Palace realm, he will not be injured so badly. After hearing her words, Long Lan looked a little unwilling. "How could my emperor's breakthrough fail? It's because a traitor has tampered with it. The news that my emperor's realm has dropped to Violet Palace realm's second layer is probably spread by the traitor. I just don't know who wants to murder the emperor. Let's not talk about this for now, there are more important things." After saying that, Long Lan stood up from the throne. She looked at the monster king who was coming around her with firm eyes. He said loudly, "I am very happy that you all can come. The human monks have been coveting the resources of our Lingshu Mountain for a long time. Today they surrounded us, just to capture Lingshu Mountain in one fell swoop. We are calling everyone here today to join forces to resist the invading enemies. What do you think?" After the demons learned the reason for summoning them, they all looked at each other and talked about it for a while. It is said that among the human monks, even the old antique who has been in retreat for thousands of years has ended his retreat and participated in this siege. I threatened to pluck off the Dragon Emperor's horns, turn the spiritual roots into medicinal materials, and refine the top breakthrough pill. It is said that that old antique has a level of cultivation that is as high as Violet Palace realm 5th layer. How can we possibly defeat him? The reason why Long Lan was able to become monster sovereign was all because of her strength. Its rule over the territory is extremely loose and it is difficult to form a unified mind. Now that Long Lan's realm has plummeted, many monster kings have begun to have dissatisfaction. After a short discussion, many monster kings came forward and said, "We, the Lion King family, have decided to change our lives on the mainland and bid farewell. Lingshu Mountain is indeed a good place, but we, the Sacred Bull Clan, do not intend to participate in this matter. Goodbye. We, the Celestial Fox family, also." Many monster kings began to express their intention to move out of this place with their tribesmen and not participate in the battle. Soon, after saying goodbye one after another, the cave was almost empty, with only a few monsters left. When Long Lan saw the scene, his expression was very heavy, but he did not stop them from leaving. Long Lan has been a monster sovereign for thousands of years. She has never favored any monster, let alone harmed anyone on her own initiative. Even when she was patrolling her territory, she would rescue an injured demon if she saw one. When a foreign tribe attacks, she will also help her tribe. She has saved so many monsters in the past few thousand years, and she has lost count of how many times she has been injured in hard battles. As a result, when everyone needed to be here today, this scene happened. To say that she wasn't sad would be a lie. The reason why she didn't stop everyone from leaving was because in her opinion, as a monster sovereign, she should protect her clan members. If the monster kings want to leave, they are free. In monster race, there are few monsters like Bai Yawei who truly know how to repay kindness. This is why Long Lan likes to get along with Bai Yawei the most and will become friends with her. Bai Yawei's excellent character seems rare and valuable at this moment. Long Lan looked at the remaining monster kings and said to the monsters, "The other monster kings are gone. It will be difficult for us alone to defeat the enemy. You guys should go too, don't waste your lives in vain. I, the Emperor, can accept the challenge alone. Even if the Emperor's realm falls sharply, burning his life can still cause heavy losses to the enemy. As the Dragon Emperor, Long Lan has an arrogant nature that is hard to change. Even when her life is in danger, she is unwilling to show her vulnerable side. She wants all enemies to know that she is the Emperor of Lingshu Mountain, and even if she is injured, she is not something others can look down upon. The monster kings who are still in the cave are all loyal ministers who have already transformed into humans and are following Long Lan. Before Long Lan became the monster sovereign of Lingshu Mountain, there was no such thing as discrimination in the immortal cultivation world. Counting the time, it was thousands of years ago. When there is no discrimination, many monster race people take human form and they will integrate into human society and live. Long Lan began to look like a king at that time. She brought many transformed monsters with her to explore everywhere. But something terrible happened later, causing different races to hate each other. After that, Long Lan had nowhere to go, so he took these monsters back to Lingshu Mountain. Nowadays, the only people who are still in the cave, besides Bai Yahweh, are the old demons who have been with her for countless years. The remaining demons knelt on one knee one after another when they heard that Long Lan wanted them to leave. Your Majesty the Dragon Emperor, we are willing to fight to the death with you. We will never back down. Your Majesty treats us with great kindness. We will not be like those rats who just run away. Long Lan saw everyone expressing their opinions and nodded. Then she looked at Bai Yahweh aside. Shall Bai, ah no, Bai Yahweh, you better go. The enemy is too strong, you can't do much to help. In the past, Bai Yahweh from Violet Palace realm would have been able to fight. But now that he has become a monk in the innate realm, it is really difficult for him to go to the battlefield again. Long Lan didn't want her to die in vain, so she said this. Bai Ya smiled and shook her head. Don't worry, I can take care of myself. Master taught me Linglong Zon Gong. Even if I can't defeat high-level enemies, I shouldn't have any problem saving my life. When Long Lan heard her words, a trace of doubt flashed across his proud face. Master, what master? Speaking of which, I'm still curious about where you went during the time you disappeared. She hasn't finished speaking yet. Suddenly, a boom was heard outside the cave. The entire cave began to tremble, and there were faint signs of collapse. As expected, the encirclement and suppression should have begun outside. Feeling that the outside world was attacking, Long Lan frowned. She lifted her feet and walked towards the outside of the cave. Have you started attacking yet? There is no time to prepare for us, go out and meet the enemy. She walked quickly towards the outside of the cave, her eyes full of perseverance, without the slightest hint of timidity. Even though she knew that this might be her last battle. Outside Long Lan's cave, about a few minutes ago. Known as the profound heaven of extreme profundities, it is the highest level of human cultivation in Yuanshan continent for thousands of years. It is said that he has lived for more than 4,000 years and has reached the Violet Palace realm 5th layer heaven early. Countless sects offered him olive branches, trying to win him over, but he was devoted to the pursuit of immortality and seldom appeared in public. This time, I came out because I learned about the failure of Long Lan's transcending tribulation. In the eyes of human monks, monster race is full of treasures. If he could defeat Long Lan and refine it into elixir, he might be able to break through to the Violet Palace realm 6th layer. Therefore, he was the most effective when besieging Long Lan's cave. Gao Profound Heaven said to the two masters of Violet Palace realm beside him. Then Long Lan placed a ban on the outside of this cave and huddled inside, not daring to come out. Sikong fellow Taoist, Chi Ji Yu fellow Taoist, let's launch attacks together and force her out. The monk who is called Sikong fellow Taoist is named Sikong Kui. His realm is Violet Palace realm 2nd layer. He is also the leader of monks in this continent. Sikong Kui replied, okay, but remember, the agreement you made at the beginning cannot be changed. You take the dragon's horn, and I want the dragon's heart. My 100-life resurrection pill only needs this last ingredient. I have been waiting for this moment for a long time. Monks pay attention to their reputation. Using the human race to refine elixirs or the demon race will damage their reputation. The human race is of the same race. Needless to say, the demon race is a humanoid race. Although human cultivators also have discrimination against the demon race, they will have reservations after all. But monster race is completely different. Although monster race can take shape, among human race monks, they are always animals and livestock. Therefore, whether the monster race is used to make elixirs or eaten after death, it will not be condemned in any way. Gao Profound Heaven nodded. That's natural. Chigu fellow Taoist, do you have any opinions? Although Gao Profound Heaven is the strongest among the three, he has always been cautious and still has to be wary of those around him. After all, he has lived for so long and has offended countless people. It would be dangerous if someone stabbed you in the back when the fight started. Negotiate the terms before starting the war. With nearly 1,000 monks present, even if you want to break the contract, you have to weigh it carefully. The person who is called Qi Ji Yu fellow Taoist is named Qi Ji Yu Sheng. He is the master of the Divine Sect, and his realm is also the Violet Palace realm third layer. Although his realm is not low, his combat effectiveness is very poor, probably about the same as the dead Sanyuan sect master. Qi Gusheng stroked his long white beard and said with a kind face. As promised in advance, we, Divine Sect, will not participate in this battle unless you are defeated. I brought all the disciples here today because I heard that there is an immortal Chen living in Lingshu Mountain. After Long Lan loses his fighting ability, I will take my disciples to visit the immortal and see if I can find an opportunity. Medicine Divine Sect disciples rarely practice combat skills and do not like fighting. The whole sect mainly focuses on refining medicinal materials, medicinal elixirs, and curing diseases and saving people. The combat strength of Yao Divine Sect is considered to be at the bottom among several major sects in this continent. Several major sects outwardly respect the Medicine Divine Sect. After all, they might be able to use them one day. But behind the scenes, few people can look down upon them. In the immortal cultivation world, strength is paramount. No matter how well you refine your medicinal materials, you will still be at the mercy of others. Gao Profound Heaven looked disdainful when he heard his words. Do you really believe in Chen Shanren's legend? I think it's probably because the leader of the Sanyuan sect reaped the consequences and caused feedback from heaven. Even if the legendary immortal Chen exists, he cannot be in this Lingshu mountain. The news that the leader of the Sanyuan sect used the demonic cultivator to make elixirs also spread. Rather than believing that it was Chen Yi who destroyed the Sanyuan sect, everyone believed that the leader of the Sanyuan sect had done many evil things, which made heaven unable to stand it and sent immortals to suppress it. How could Chen Yi be an immortal? How could he live in seclusion in Lingshu Mountain? So funny. Qi Gusheng didn't reply, just shook his head lightly and stepped back. Whether Chen Shanren really exists or not, we will find out after Long Lan loses his fighting ability. It would be best if there was one, and there would be no loss without him. The reason why he had to wait for Long Lan to lose his fighting ability before looking for the immortal was because Long Lan did not allow people to cultivate into Lingshu Mountain. So they can't get in even if they want to. Gao Profound Heaven saw him retreating and snorted jokingly. Humph, you are really as timid as a mouse. That's all, it's the same even without this old guy. Fellow Taoist, don't delay any more, you and I can just join forces. Situ Kui nodded, and the two gathered their spiritual power together. With the surge of spiritual power, the pressure of Violet Palace realm gradually spread to the surrounding areas. The frighteningly powerful spiritual power filled the palms of the two men, causing the surrounding earth to tremble. The air was crushed and deformed, and countless earth and rocks were shaken and turned upside down. In the distance, countless low-level monks retreated, fearing that they would be hurt by the aftermath. Some of these monks are from other sects, and some are ordinary independent cultivators. For this encirclement and suppression, they did not need to take action. The purpose of their coming is just to explore the treasures of Lingshu Mountain. Lingshu Mountain has been isolated from the outside world for nearly 1,000 years, and countless treasures of heaven, material and earth have been nurtured within it. As soon as Long Lan died, they would rush in swarmly, picking a medicinal plant or a spiritual stone, which was considered a great opportunity. As the surrounding pressure reached its limit, Gao Profound Heaven and the two released attacks together. The attack hit Long Lan's cave, and a boom was heard instantly. The outer walls were cracked and there were signs of collapse at any time. Gao Profound Heaven laughed and said, "Ha ha ha, it seems that what the demon said is true. With Long Lan's previous strength, the prohibition formation she set up cannot be broken so easily. It's so easy to catch her now. As he laughed, at the entrance of the cave, a figure slowly walked out. This figure's appearance is stunningly beautiful, with a tall and graceful figure, and a pair of beautiful eyes like an eagle, which has locked everyone's eyes at this moment. Her eyes were like knives, staring high into profound heaven. An arrogant and cold voice sounded, as if commanding everyone. My defeated general dares to invade our border. Have you forgotten the rules we discussed before? Do you want me to teach you again? A proud and cold voice sounded, as if he was ordering everyone. My defeated general dares to invade our border. Have you forgotten the rules we discussed before? Do you want me to teach you again? Lingshu Mountain has not always been peaceful. The reason why it has been stable until now is all due to Long Lan's strength. Profound Heaven once tried to invade Lingshu Mountain, but was defeated by Long Lan with a few moves. But Gao Profound Heaven was forced to sign an agreement never to come to Lingshu Mountain again, and Long Lan spared his life. Otherwise, he would have died here long ago. Gao Profound Heaven smiled jokingly, completely unfazed by her question. I've never heard of an agreement between human race and monster race. Today I will do justice for heaven and destroy you, the monster that is causing harm to the world. Lest you hurt innocent people. When Long Lan heard what he said, he clenched his teeth in anger. She has been living in Lingshu Mountain for many years and has never harmed anyone's life. The reason why Profound Heaven said this was to put a label on her and find an unfounded reason. There's so much nonsense. No matter what you say today, I will never let you go again. Suffer death. Long Lan scolded coldly, then jumped into the air. Her right hand gradually turned into a dragon's claw, and the huge scarlet claw was terrifying. Red flames burned in the center of her claws, and the blazing flames seemed to hold a sun in her palms. She raised her right paw suddenly, then swung it down. Dragon flame. Flames spurted out from her claws like a gushing river. The rolling heat wave caused trees 100 meters away to burn down. Gao Profound Heaven looked at the incoming flames, his expression gradually became serious. Unexpectedly, Long Lan, who was seriously injured and whose realm had plummeted, could unleash such a terrifying attack. He is worthy of being the king of demons, the last dragon in the legend. However, he has practiced the Dongshuan divine art for thousands of years, and it is not easy to stop him. Dongshuan palm. Gao Profound Heaven gathered the cyan profound energy in the palm of his hand, and a huge palm print appeared. Transparent cyan palm prints shot out from his palm and collided with the flame. The flames are like the rolling Yangtze River, constantly beating the blue palm prints. The coercion of the two attacks shook the sky and the earth, and the dark clouds receded. Situ Kui on the side was trapped by other monster races and could not escape for a while. Bai Yahweh watched the scene in front of her nervously, ready to provide support at any time. Long Lan's body was already empty of spiritual power, and she was burning her last life to fight. Every flame struck was burning her heart. Cough. Long Lan felt the energy and blood surge inside her body. She couldn't hold it back, and scarlet blood coughed out from her mouth. Drops of blood flowed down the corners of her mouth, making her look a little bleak. Gao Profound Heaven laughed while resisting the attack. You are just dying. Why don't you surrender quickly and I'll give you a happy treat? What Long Lan couldn't bear most was ridicule. Her eagle eyes like knives locked onto Gao Profound Heaven. Gao Profound Heaven, I don't know why, but I suddenly feel bad. Long Lan's eyes seemed to be burning with flames. She clenched her right paw into a fist, her fist wrapped in flames, and punched the green palm print. The cyan palm print was instantly shattered into pieces. Long Lan's excessive physical strength caused her eardrums to bleed, and her internal organs had already been completely damaged. Even if she wins this battle, she won't survive more than a day. After she shattered the cyan palm print, her speed didn't stop, and her huge dragon claws grabbed Gao Profound Heaven. Gao Profound Heaven wanted to laugh at Long Lan, but she suddenly became enthusiastic. This sudden strength seemed to allow him to see Long Lan at his peak. It was impossible for him to fight Long Lan at his peak. Gao Profound Heaven quickly released the life-saving talisman that he had stored for an unknown length of time. A barrier surrounded him. Long Lan's dragon claws struck the barrier, and the barrier cracked in an instant. It won't be long before Gao Profound Heaven's life-saving talisman will be shattered. Gao Profound Heaven looked at Qi Gusheng and shouted. Qi Ji, you fellow Taoist, it's time to take action. I can't stand it anymore. After hearing his shouting, Qi Gusheng was in a state of panic. He said that he would only take action if others were defeated. But that was just a polite comment. After all, he didn't expect that Violet Palace Realm 5th Layer Tian Gao Profound Heaven would not hit the seriously injured Long Lan. This was really beyond his expectation. Segu Sheng doesn't want to make enemies, not even in monster race. But in front of so many monks, if you risk your own life and ignore the monks of your own clan, you will probably get a bad reputation. Qi Gusheng's face was full of caution, and there were many disciples behind him waiting for his words. In the end, Qi Gusheng did not move, but turned his head. Afterwards, no matter whether Gao Profound Heaven lives or lives, he will do his best to treat her, and he will treat her as the most benevolent and righteous person. When Gao Profound Heaven saw him turning his back, veins popped up on his forehead in anger. Qi Ji Yu Sheng, you are such a disgrace to human race. Just when the barrier in front of Gao Profound Heaven was about to break, he suddenly saw a figure in the distance. That figure was a monster race, the traitor who tipped them off. At this time, he was quickly approaching Long Lan's back, planning to stab Long Lan to death with one blow. Seeing the figure of the monster, Gao Profound Heaven seemed to see the hope of life. Bai Yawei was watching this scene not far away, and she quickly discovered the monster that was trying to attack. Bai Yawei recognized her. She was the leader of the Tiger King clan who was the first to leave the cave not long ago. Long Lan, be careful. Bai Yawei shouted and immediately ran over. Her speed was extremely fast, and she was beside Long Lan in the blink of an eye. She hugged Long Lan's waist with force, and then backed away sharply. At the same time, the Tiger King's sharp claws also grabbed it. The sharp claws did not touch Long Lan, but just caught Bai Yawei's arm. Bai Yawei also retreated behind with Long Lan, and the two of them fell heavily to the ground. It rolled several times and finally hit a rock before stopping. Long Lan snorted, and after a brief moment of confusion, he quickly got up. She grabbed Bai Yawei's shoulders and asked with concern. Xiao Bai, are you okay? Bai Yawei covered her arms, and large amounts of blood stained her petite body red. There is even a purple dark glow emerging from the wound, which is the poison that is eroding it. The Tiger King had poisoned his claws and was bound to kill Long Lan with one move. Bai Yawei forced out a smile. I'm fine, they said I already have a name, don't call me Xiao Bai anymore. Be careful, they are here again. Bai Yawei shouted suddenly, and Gao Profound Heaven was already chasing after him. The Dongshuan palm condensed in his palm again, and this time the pressure was even more terrifying than last time. I won't give you another chance. Go to hell. Gao Profound Heaven roared and slapped his palm downwards. Long Lan turned around and looked at Bai Yawei, who had already entered her body with poisonous gas. Her eyes were firm and she was ready to die. She ended her human form and gradually transformed into her original appearance. The huge body blocked Bai Yawei's body. Long Lan's original appearance was a bright red dragon. The body size is tens of meters high and the body length is nearly 100 meters. A pair of huge wings extended from her strong back, and ferocious fangs grew out of her dragon mouth. The true form of the Dragon King is enough to make any monster crawl to the ground after seeing it. Even the traitor Tiger King, who was following Gao Profound Heaven, couldn't help but take a few steps back when he saw this scene. Looks a little timid, but when he saw Long Lan's weak breathing and the dragon scales that had fallen off in several places on his body and were bleeding, he looked so weak. The Tiger King realized that her pressure no longer existed. Only then could he barely stabilize his figure. Long Lan opened his bloody mouth and looked at the cyan palm prints that were gradually attacking. A raging flame condensed in her mouth, and when it reached its peak, it suddenly burst out. Long Lan tried to use dragon flames to resist the attack again, but her body was already overstretched and she could no longer support such a large-scale attack. The flame only lasted for a while, and then its momentum shrank. If this palm hits Long Lan, she will definitely die if she is weak. The Tiger King looked at the Dragon King who was about to die, his expression full of excitement. Before Long Lan arrived at Lingshu Mountain, King Tiger was the supreme king of Lingshu Mountain. As the saying goes, there is no room for two tigers in one mountain, let alone one dragon king. Long Lan and he were enemies when they first met, but after defeating the Tiger King, Long Lan did not kill him. But the root of the rebellion was buried, and King Tiger was always waiting for an opportunity. During this period, the conflicts between the two continued to intensify due to various trivial matters. About 100 years ago, King Tiger accidentally discovered Bai Yahweh as White Tiger. Although Bai Yahweh is also from the Tiger clan, he is from a different branch from the Tiger King and does not know each other. At that time, Tiger King was attracted by Bai Yahweh's soft hair and wanted to pursue her, but she refused. Later, the Tiger King wanted to use the strong one to leave heirs. In fact, this is not unusual among monsters. There is no such thing as law in the society of monsters. In the end, Bai Yahweh naturally fought to the death with him. Just when Bai Yahweh was about to be defeated, Long Lan interrupted the two of them, and then followed human methods and set several rules to prevent similar things from happening. It was also at that time that Bai Yahweh met Long Lan for the first time, and the two became good friends. But what Long Lan did naturally aroused the Tiger King's dissatisfaction even more, and he was bound to find an opportunity to get rid of her. 100 years later, Long Lan made a breakthrough and collected countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures for her breakthrough. The Tiger King also took this opportunity to tamper with her medicinal materials for breakthrough. The Tiger King knew that even so, he might not be the Dragon King's opponent, so he secretly invited outsiders. This is what happened. Tiger King looked at Long Lan, whose life was hanging by a thread, and laughed and said, "I really didn't expect that the extremely arrogant Dragon King would die in front of me today. When you die, I will cut off your head and take it as my trophy." As he spoke, he looked at Bai Yahweh, who had fallen to the ground with poison, with lustful eyes. "And you, little white tiger, I didn't expect you to be here. Don't worry, I won't let you get hurt. I will lock you in a cave and taste it slowly." When Long Lan heard her taunt, he was just a little reluctant at first. But when she heard about Bai Yahweh, her eyes were full of anger. She roared loudly, and the terrifying dragon roar made the eardrums of everyone in front of her hurt. But this is just the last struggle. The cyan palm print had already struck in front of her. Long Lan knew that her life had come to an end, and she looked with some reluctance at the loyal ministers who fought for her, and at Bai Yahweh who was in danger because of her. She lost her life just to die, but will her friends also die because of her? She felt deep regret for this, and a drop of water slowly flowed out of Longan's eye mask. Devil Palm. Ice falling technique. Executive killing. Just listen to three crisp female voices sound at the same time. The palm print filled with evil energy that corroded all things fell from the sky first and suddenly hit the cyan palm print. The green palm print was deflected by the impact and tilted to the side. But Long Lan is very big, so this attack may still hurt her. Then snowflakes scattered all over the sky, and the huge ice cone hit the cyan palm print again, and the cyan palm print tilted again. The last huge slash was mixed with the sound of breaking through the air, rolling in, and completely knocking the cyan palm print away. Hearing, boom, a green palm print hit the huge mountain nearby. But this is not over yet. Violet Palace Realm 5th Layer Tian's full blow still has no intention of stopping and continues to destroy in the distance. I couldn't imagine that if this attack hit Long Lan, Bai Yahweh would definitely die. Long Lan had never seen such a strange attack before, and she looked curiously towards the sky. Above the sky, three figures floated. The leader is Su Jiqian, who is wearing a purple dress and has a rich purple mist floating on her right hand. Next to her was Leng Luoli, who is wearing an ice blue dress and holding a transparent ice staff, looking down at him with a cold expression. The last one is Hu Juyu, who looks the most special. She got a silver white armor from somewhere and put it on her body, which set off her temperament to the extreme. The long sword in her hand, which is taller than a person, faintly reflects the sun's rays. Her wheat-colored skin and perfect figure reveal her tenacity and other kind of beauty. When Long Lan saw these three people, his expression was slightly confused. She didn't know these three women. Why did they want to save her? And the configuration of these three people is very strange, a demon race, a human race, and an elf from a distant continent. How did these three people get together? Just then, she heard a voice behind her. Where? It's okay, my teacher is here. Take this pill and you will be back to your original state. Long Lan looked behind him in confusion. She didn't feel anyone approaching just now. When did the person behind her come? Chen Yi was behind Long Lan at this time, holding Bai Yawei in his arms. Not long ago, he used his spiritual consciousness to cover the entire Lingshu mountain, and soon discovered Bai Yawei's traces. When he saw Bai Yawei was in danger, he rushed over immediately. When he arrived at the scene, he saw Long Lan protecting Bai Yawei behind him. Although Chen Yi didn't know who Long Lan was, he still ordered his disciples to rescue him, and then he rushed to Bai Yawei's side immediately. Bai Yawei was poisoned at the moment and was a little unconscious. However, she still recognized the master at a glance, and she could never smell the master's scent wrongly. Feeling master's warm body temperature, she couldn't help but rub into master's arms. Feeling master's warm body temperature, she couldn't help but rub into master's arms. The furry ears rubbed Chen Yi's chin itchy. Bai Yawei's expression was a little depressed, and her expression was a little self-blame. She lay in master's arms and said softly, "I'm sorry, master, I have caused you trouble again." Well, before she could finish speaking, Chen Yi stuffed the healing pill into her mouth. Then he hugged her tightly and stroked her head. He said softly, "You are master's disciple now. No matter what difficulties you have, you can talk to master. You are a teacher. No matter what happens, my teacher will be responsible for you. You don't have to blame yourself. You are not alone now. You still have a teacher and senior sisters. If there are any difficulties, we can bear them together." Chen Yi didn't know why she left suddenly, but in his opinion, something urgent must have happened. The moment he accepted Bai Yawei as his disciple, he already regarded Bai Yawei as one of his own, and he would never stand idly by no matter what happened. Chen Yi rubbed her head and continued, "My teacher, I hope you won't leave without saying goodbye again. Everyone will be worried about you." As the elixir entered her body, Bai Yawei could no longer feel the pain. She could only feel master's warm breath and master's generous chest. The master not only saved her twice, but also passed down her top skills. Even when she left without permission and caused trouble for master, master didn't even blame her. Thinking back to the past few days living with master, master was simply so kind to her, so unparalleled. In this world, she could not imagine anyone better than master. Her feelings for her master were so strong that she no longer knew how to express them. Master, master, master. Wire will never leave master again, ever. Bai Yawei buried her face in master's arms, hugged master tightly, and called master 3 times in a row. Loli's soft legs were wrapped around the master's body, and her arms were wrapped around the master's neck. The whole person hung directly on the master's body. I wish I could integrate my whole body into the master's body. She was a little emotional, tears slowly flowed from the corners of her eyes, and she was so moved that she cried bitterly. She no longer came to him just because she liked the smell of master and wanted to repay master. Bai Yawei really fell in love with the master at this moment, so much that her whole body trembled and she couldn't help herself. She just wrapped herself around the master and didn't let go for a long time. Chen Yi patted her fair back and said softly, "Although I don't know what the situation is now, those people on the opposite side should be enemies. When my master gets rid of them, I will take you back." When Bai Yawei heard what the master said, she nodded and reluctantly got off the master. "Go find your senior sisters first. Everyone is worried about you," Chen Yi said. The system's healing pills are very effective, and Bai Yawei is now back as before. She rose into the air and came to the side of her senior sisters. "Sisters, Ware has caused trouble for everyone." She apologized guiltily to the 3 senior sisters. Hu Juyu carried the giant sword behind her back and hugged her with a smile. "Your business is everyone's business. This is not a problem." Su Jiqian looked like her own child had been bullied, and she was patrolling below. As the eldest senior sister, she has a strong sense of responsibility. When he learned that his junior sister Bai had been bullied just now, he became extremely angry. No matter who it is, she must make the other party pay the price. Leng Luoli breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that junior sister Bai was safe, and stepped forward to comfort junior sister Bai. After Chen Yi settled Bai Yawei, he jumped in front of Long Lan. He just saw Long Lan and Bai Yawei fighting side by side, so Long Lan must be Bai Yawei's friend. Of course, if this was the case, Chen Yi couldn't ignore it. Thinking of this, Chen Yi exchanged another healing pill and threw it to her. This is a healing pill. If you take it, you'll be fine. Long Lan caught it with her dragon claws, and then she looked at Chen Yi seriously. This was not the first time she had seen this human monk. About a year ago, after Chen Yi was defeated, he took 3 disciples and flew to Lingshu Mountain to take refuge in embarrassment. At that time, Long Lan was sleeping. She sensed that a human monk had entered her territory, so she naturally wanted to drive them away. But when she saw 2 foreign monks following Chen Yi, she became curious. Humans actually adopted aliens as disciples, which she thought was too unusual. Perhaps out of curiosity, or for other reasons, Long Lan did not kill Chen Yi and the others, but just let them in. Soon after, Chen Yi was followed by several pursuers. Long Lan did not let them go and chase them all out. The reason why Chen Yi can survive until now is really inseparable from her help. It's just that Long Lan didn't take it to heart at that time, and time passed like this day by day. I'm afraid Long Lan never imagined that a human monk she randomly saved at that time would come back and save her life. Chen Yi, on the other hand, also didn't know that he still held the Dragon King's favor, and accidentally returned it. Long Lan took the healing pill and hesitated at first. She has suffered such a serious injury, is this just a small healing pill really useful to her? But seeing Bai Ya's state after taking it, she didn't think about it, opened her big mouth and swallowed it. Chen Yi looked at the tall and majestic dragon in front of him and became curious about it. He has touched cats and dogs, but he has never experienced the feeling of dragon scales. Do you want to touch and see? This giant dragon shouldn't be angry, right? Chen Yi thought to himself and stretched out his hand unconsciously. The hand just touched the dragon's nose. It feels a little hard, a little like hard leather, and the nose is a little warm. The dragon's breath seems to be the smoke emerging from a burning flame. Long Lan was feeling the changes brought about by the healing pill, and was curious about how Bai Yawei recovered as before. As a result, the man in front of her suddenly stretched out his hand and touched her nose. His eyes suddenly widened. Before he could even hide, he was touched. This was the first time that a human dared to touch her so boldly, even touching her head. What is the difference between this and pulling out her reverse scales? Bold human being, how dare you touch this emperor's? This emperor is going to, Long Lan said angrily. She subconsciously wanted to release her spiritual power and drive away the man in front of her. But when she actually released her spiritual power, she realized something was wrong. She was so seriously injured that she shouldn't be able to release her spiritual power. Long Lan looked down and found that all his injuries had healed. He recovered so quietly. What grade is this human healing elixir? Long Lan thought in her heart. She knew how seriously she was injured, and almost no medicine could bring her back from the brink of death. But the healing pill that the human in front of her just gave her actually directly repaired her injuries. The level of this kind of elixir has probably reached the legendary, supreme immortal level. This kind of elixir is hard to find in this world. This man actually gave her this extremely precious elixir. When Long Lan learned that she had received such a favor, she felt a little embarrassed for a moment. Regarding the fact that Chen Yi actually touched his nose, he wasn't that angry anymore. But I still feel a little uncomfortable. Hey, have you touched enough? Long Lan said, slightly dissatisfied, but he didn't actually attack Chen Yi. How could she be willing to attack her benefactor? Chen Yi then slowly took his hand back. His expression was a little apologetic, but at the same time he said excitedly. Ahem, sorry, you should step back first and leave the rest to me. The reason why he felt a little apologetic was because he couldn't help but reach out and touch it. It's indeed a bit rude. And I'm a little excited because the touch of these dragon scales is indeed very strange. He never thought he would be able to touch this one day. Long Lan heard his words and said proudly, "This is my emperor's business. How can I stand idly by?" After Chen Yeluo finished speaking, he didn't waste any more time. Regardless of what Long Lan was thinking, he flew towards Gao profound heaven. Gao Profound Heaven looked at his right hand in surprise at this time, his face full of disbelief. The blow he just released with Dongshuan Palm was almost his full strength. Violet Palace Realm 5th Layer Tian's attack was actually missed by 3 juniors above the sky. If you read it correctly, those 3 juniors are just monks from the innate realm, and one is even from the acquired heaven realm. Although I didn't do something as outrageous as blocking his attack, it was terrifying enough to be able to change the trajectory of his attack. Could it be that these 3 juniors are the proud ones from other continents? Gao Profound Heaven has begun to think about this possibility. In this world, there are many places with a higher concentration of spiritual energy than the Yuanshan continent. If it is a genius from other holy land of cultivation, it is not impossible. It's just that why does such a genius appear here? Before Gao Profound Heaven could figure it out, Chen Yi had already flown closer. Chen Yi's face was expressionless, and he couldn't tell whether he was happy or angry. He just said calmly, "The people you wanted to kill just now included my disciples. You have offended me, and your entire clan will be destroyed today." "Wait, you look like an old man who has lived for thousands of years, you don't look like you have parents." "Okay, I'll save you trouble by killing you." Chen Yi originally wanted to eliminate the Sanyuan sect and the forces behind it. But thinking about this old guy who has been in seclusion for thousands of years, I'm afraid he doesn't have time to develop his power and family. It saved him the trouble of searching everywhere. Gao Profound Heaven looked at the man in front of him and thought for a moment. "Are you, Chen Yi? A mere monk from the Divine Treasure Realm dares to threaten me in front of me? Who do you think you are? Don't tell me that with your current strength, even when you Profound Heaven sect is here, I may not be afraid of you." When Gao Profound Heaven was in retreat, he heard that a new sect called Profound Heaven Sect had emerged outside. But after coming out of seclusion for 100 years, the Profound Heaven Sect has been destroyed. In his opinion, Profound Heaven Sect is just a piece of dust that is not even a passerby in his long career of cultivating immortals. And that sect leader, in front of him, could only bow his head in worship. As for the previous legend of Chen Shanren, Gao Profound Heaven did not take it seriously. He could see through Chen Yi's realm at a glance. How could a monk in the Divine Treasure Realm be a so-called immortal? Chen Yi didn't talk nonsense to him. He raised his hand, and the spiritual power in his hand gradually began to gather. As the spiritual power continued to emerge, ripples appeared in a space above the sky. The ripples spread slowly around, as if something was about to be torn from the space. Many low-level monks located on the outskirts of Lingshu Mountain started talking about Chen Yi, who suddenly appeared. "Who is this young man? He is so brave. He dares to challenge the seniors. Don't you want to live?" "Shish, shut up. I recognize this supreme immortal. I was also present when the immortal destroyed the Sanyuan sect. Kneel down to the immortal and leave quickly. Listen to me. Otherwise, if you run away later, it will be too late." There were many independent cultivators among the crowd, some of whom had seen Chen Yi in person, and some of whom had not. Those who had seen Chen Yi take action shouted that they had seen the immortal, and then left in a hurry. This scene made the others a little confused for a while. This young man who looks to be in his 20s, the former master of the Profound Heaven Sect, is actually the legendary immortal. This is a bit incredible. But they clearly heard that this young man was just a monk from the Divine Treasure Realm. A bunch of rats, they don't even know they've been deceived. If you want to run away, you run away, we have to stay here and wait for a while to hunt for treasure. Many monks refused to believe the immortal's rumors and did not leave. But some monks who were more concerned about their lives listened to the words of those independent cultivators and left quickly. The number of people present was reduced to less than half in an instant. Qi Gusheng, the master of the Divine Sect, looked thoughtful as he listened to the words of the independent cultivators. He stroked his beard and looked at Chen Yi with interest. It seems that the legend of this immortal is very credible. If this handsome young man is an immortal, then he probably didn't come in vain this time. As long as he can hug the immortal's thigh, after they take the Divine Sect, they will no longer have to be looked down upon by others. Profound Heaven, located in the center of the battlefield, heard the monks on the periphery shouting that they had seen the immortals, and showed a satisfied expression. In his opinion, these independent cultivators were shocked when they saw his move. So I am paying homage to him respectfully. This made him feel very satisfied and had a great sense of accomplishment. Retreating independent cultivators. Why is the old guy laughing there? I don't know, maybe I was frightened by the immortal. I just used 9 successes to convince many independent cultivators. This time I will spare no effort once I succeed, so that others can see and experience my strength that has been in seclusion for hundreds of years. Gao Profound Heaven said to himself. See the height of Profound Heaven gradually rising, as if it has reached a position level with the sun. From a distance, he was dancing in the sky, as if he was about to release some spell. Soon after, the blue sky was suddenly covered with dark clouds. Thunder and lightning gathered in the dark clouds, and the loud, rumbling sound echoed in the mountains. It was as if a heavy rainstorm was about to sweep across the entire world. Countless thunder and lightning, rumbling, gathered towards the high profound heaven. At this moment, the sun no longer exists, and Gao Profound Heaven seems to be the sun of this world, the master in charge of everything. Chen Yi looked at this scene, still expressionless and silent. Chen Yi's hair was a little messy because of the howling wind caused by the high altitude. He raised his right hand high, and the same purple evil energy as Su Jiqian appeared in his palm. But unlike Su Jiqian, the evil energy he created seemed to be a shrinking black hole. It's as terrifying as swallowing up everything. Chen Yi suddenly closed his hand and grabbed it. At the same time, a tearing sound was heard. A huge hole suddenly opened in the sky. Something is gradually emerging from the cracks. It was a huge stone tablet with several large characters engraved on it. Demon Suppressing Monument. This is the strongest move in the demonic soul technique. Su Jiqian is still far from being able to master this move. The demonic palm she is practicing now is only the first move in the demonic soul technique, and it is also the primary starting position. However, Chen Yi had already understood the entire technique. Violet Palace Realm 5th Layer Tian is the strongest enemy Chen Yi has faced so far. Therefore, he did not dare to underestimate the opponent too much, so he planned to use the moves in the technique to see how strong he was. The demon suppressing monument continues to emerge from the void, from the first 100 meters long, to 200 meters long, to the current 500 meters long, and it has not stopped yet. Countless purple evil spirits surround the demon suppressing monument, and the entire demon suppressing monument does not look like it is made of stone. It is more like the product of countless human corpses gathered together. Chen Yi raised his right hand, and then slowly lowered it in the direction of Gao Profound Heaven. The entire body of the demon suppressing monument was pulled out from the void, about a kilometer long, like a huge mountain towering into the clouds. Gao Zan's celestial position is in the midst of thousands of thunders, and all the magic on his body is blocked by electric energy. It looked very crazy. He gathered countless thunder and lightning in the palm of his hand and wanted to attack Chen Yi. But the demon suppressing monument blocked Chen Yi, and his attack could only hit the demon suppressing monument. Create a huge stone and want to block my attack. Wishful thinking. Wind, fire, thunder and lightning, listen to my orders. Heavenly Thunder Curse. The Heavenly Thunder Curse is the move that Profound Heaven is most proud of. He has practiced this move for thousands of years. He went into retreat countless times just to hone his skills in using the moves. This time, he will use Chen Yi's death to let the world witness his power. If he's lucky, he might be able to become famous in one battle and make himself known to continents further away. When the time comes, you can jump out of this place of thin spiritual energy and seek further immortality. Great Tao. Chen Yi didn't reply. In his opinion, the old man was just a dying man. There is nothing to say to a dying person. He controlled the demon suppressing monument and threw it towards the high profound heaven. When the 1,000-meter high demon suppressing monument moved, it made a loud rumbling sound. It was as if the earth, no, the whole world, was trembling in fear because of the movement of the demon suppressing monument. When Gao Profound Heaven saw the demon suppressing monument flying towards him, his brows suddenly wrinkled. He was now at the center of the pressure, and for some reason, his heartbeat accelerated a lot. It seemed like every nerve in the body was afraid of that thing. Impossible, it's just a piece of broken stone. There's nothing to be afraid of, go to hell. Ha ha ha. Be my stepping stone on the road to success. Boom. The heavenly thunder curse crackled on top of the demon suppressing monument. Lightning strikes kept drilling into the demon suppression monument, and the low-level monks could hardly open their eyes as they were stung by lightning and flint. The lightning lasted for a long time before dissipating. After the lightning dissipated, the scene of the demon suppressing steel being chopped into pieces by the thunder curse did not appear in front of Gao Profound Heaven as he wished. The demon suppressing steel remained untouched, not even a piece of dirt fell off. This, Gao Profound Heaven's pupils shrank, and his face was filled with disbelief. He froze on the spot, repeating, "This is impossible." His strongest attack couldn't even hit a splash in front of Chen Yi. He was completely desperate and desperately wanted to turn around and run away. But under the absolute pressure, except for his mouth, he could not move at all. Gao Profound Heaven's expression was frightened, and with a trembling voice, he shouted at Chen Yi. "There is no way you are Chen Yi. You, who exactly are you?" Chen Yi smiled this time and said with an easygoing expression, "I'm just an ordinary master who doesn't want my disciples to be bullied." As soon as Chen Yi finished speaking, the demon-suppressing monument arrived in front of Gao Profound Heaven at the same time. "No!" Gao Profound Heaven screamed, and his voice gradually became weak. He never imagined that he would die in the hands of this man, who he regarded as a stepping stone. The huge demon-suppressing monument pressed down on the desperate Gao Profound Heaven and suddenly smashed downwards. The sky-high purple evil spirit was constantly corroding every muscle of Gao Profound Heaven. Finally, an unparalleled loud noise was heard. This was no longer an ordinary rumbling sound. The demon-suppressing monument that was 1,000 meters high fell to the ground, and the whole world was about to end. Seeing this scene, the monks on the outskirts of Lingshu Mountain realized what those independent cultivators meant when they told them to run quickly. The shock wave after the demon-suppressing monument landed suddenly spread to all directions. Anyone touched by this shock wave will either die or be injured. "Run, run, it's too late, we can't run away. I will never take advantage again, I was wrong. Immortal, stop it, we don't want to die yet." Countless monks fled for their lives at this moment, but the speed of the shock wave was extremely fast. Some of the slower monks were so shocked that their internal organs cracked and they were so dead that they could no longer die. Some people with high realms and those who brought protective magic weapons barely managed to survive. Qi Gusheng looked at the incoming shock wave and frowned slightly. However, as a monk in Violet Palace realm, he can still protect his disciples. With a wave of his hand, he led his disciples to retreat suddenly, thus avoiding the danger. The world was extremely noisy at this moment, with the sound of the earth cracking, trees collapsing, and the screams of the dead monks. Chen Yi actually heard the monks cry for help. But he just stood quietly beside his disciples, protecting them. He had no intention of taking action against those monks he didn't know. Those monks just had a chance to leave. If they don't leave on their own, it would be a shame to die. If they don't leave on their own, it would be a shame to die. The noisy sound lasted for a long time at this moment, and dust and smoke filled the entire valley. After a long time, the smoke dissipated and the ground returned to calm. All the surrounding giant mountains were shattered, leaving only a huge stone monument standing in the center. This stone monument is tall and straight, as if it is the pillar of the world. 3 large purple characters are engraved on the stone tablet, suppressing demon monument. As for Gao Profound Heaven, he had already been crushed to pieces and could not die anymore. On the periphery of Lingshu Mountain, the monks who were not completely dead stood up one after another, dragging their seriously injured bodies. They raised their heads and looked at this scene. His expression was undoubtedly not beyond shocking. The dark clouds in the sky have dispersed, and the blue sky has emerged again. At the top of the sky, only Chen Yi and his disciples maintained their flight without being affected at all. The monks seemed so insignificant at this moment in front of Chen Yi. The monks dragged their broken bodies and knelt on the ground. This time, all they had left in their hearts was admiration. "It is our honor to see the immortal take action today. If you see an immortal, you are disrespectful, please punish me. The juniors, are being impolite. I have seen the immortal." The monks were kneeling on the ground, looking at the immortal with admiration and speaking loudly at the same time. For a long time, they didn't see the immortal punish them, so they endured their injuries and left slowly. As for the resources in Lingshu Mountain, they can't even think about it now. No one dared to disturb the sage's secluded place. After Gao Profound Heaven died, there was still one Situ Kui left in the field. At this time, Situ Kui had just recovered from the aftermath of the shock wave. He looked around nervously, then immediately controlled his body, chose a direction and ran away. Gao Profound Heaven was the strongest person on this continent before Chen Yi appeared. Even Gao Profound Heaven was defeated and had no power to fight back. What else could he do besides running away? He could only hope that the immortal would be more generous and not blame him. In other words, the immortal did not see him. But he guessed both wrong. Not only is Chen Yi not a generous person, he also has very good eyesight. Fellow Taoist, you can leave, but you have to leave something behind. Situ Kui heard a voice coming from behind him. Hearing this voice, his whole body shivered. The monks of Violet Palace realm are such a presence on this continent. Everywhere I went, people knelt down and worshipped me. He is almost inferior to one person and superior to 10,000 people. But he never expected that today, he would be frightened by a sound that made him tremble all over. He turned around tremblingly, and the person who made the sound behind him was Chen Yi. Situ Kui said with a vibrato, Immortals, are villains who have eyes but cannot see Mount High. You can have whatever you want, immortal, and I'll give you whatever villain you want. Chen Yi looked at him quietly, his expression not only lifeless, but also with a hint of easy-going smile. Seeing the immortal smile, Situ Kui felt much calmer. Looking at the immortal's appearance, he should not be angry. It is estimated that the immortal disdains to argue with a monk like him. As long as he has a better attitude, the immortal should be able to let him go. As long as the immortal lets him go, he will leave this continent and never come back again. Chen Yi patted his shoulder and said with a smile, I don't want much, just the same thing. Give me your life. When Situ Kui heard the first half of the sentence, his expression suddenly lit up with joy, and he immediately replied, Okay, whatever you want will be granted. Wait, my life. Under his gaze, Chen Yi slowly raised his palm and slapped it towards his face. No, he screamed, his head exploded, and the bright red blood spread out. Situ Kui experienced great pain before his death. He thought he had been spared. And just when he relaxed his vigilance, he was suddenly killed by Chen Yi. This feeling of despair is unparalleled and suffocating. Chen Yi never shows mercy to his enemies. After dealing with Situ Kui, Chen Yi clapped his hands and flew in the direction of his disciples. Other end, Long Lan was also protected by Chen Yi just now and was not hurt by the aftermath. The situation of the traitor Tiger King is not optimistic. Although his realm is as high as the Violet Palace realm's second layer heaven, he is near the profound heaven, and the damage caused to it by the aftermath is the most obvious. What Long Lan hated most was the traitor. She walked up to the Tiger King with her slender legs and looked at him with a cold expression. This emperor hates you very much. Your tribe should be hiding somewhere in Lingshu Mountain. After you die, your tribe will be buried with you. Long Lan's arrogant voice sounded in the Tiger King's ears. Although Long Lan has always been very kind to his own people. But facing such a hateful enemy, her approach was very decisive. If you want to take action, you must connect with the forces behind the opponent and uproot them. This point is somewhat similar to Chen Yi's approach, and the two coincide with each other. The Tiger King's right paw was covering his injured chest, his face was ashen. Obviously everything is under his control. When Long Lan is killed by Gao Profound Heaven, he will be able to sit on the throne of Lingshu Mountain. You can also get the white tiger that you have always dreamed of. He can also step on the Dragon King's body and become the strongest demon in Lingshu Mountain. But, why did Chen Yi appear? It's all Chen Yi's fault, it's all his fault. If Chen Yi hadn't ruined the good thing, all his dreams would have come true. As he lay dying, the Tiger King kept cursing. Chen Yi, you must die a good death. Long Lan frowned when she heard his groan. Although Chen Yi touched her forehead without her consent, which made her feel a little annoyed. But these are two different things. Chen Yi saved her life and helped her eliminate enemies. She saw all this. If it weren't for Chen Yi, how miserable would her end be? What would be Xiaobai's end? She didn't dare to think about it at all. This Tiger King dared to insult her benefactor like this, which she couldn't bear no matter what. Long Lan's right hand turned into a dragon claw, and he suddenly reached forward. He grabbed the Tiger King's neck tightly. I wanted to give you a good time, but you asked for it. After she said that, the dragon's claws gradually began to burn with raging flames. The temperature of the dragon flame could have burned the Tiger King to nothing in an instant. But Long Lan controlled the temperature, burning every inch of Tiger King's fur bit by bit. The Tiger King kept moaning and making a loud sound, and wanted to curse, but his throat was pinched and he couldn't speak. The monks in Violet Palace realm are very physically strong, and it is very easy to be burned to death by fire. But although he couldn't die, the pain was conveyed truthfully. After a long time, Tiger King exuded a seductive fragrance. It wasn't until all the internal organs were cooked that the Tiger King died miserably. Chen Yi always stood aside and watched. The reason why he had been standing nearby was because he was worried that Long Lan would relent and let the enemy go. But it was obvious that he was overthinking it. Seeing Long Lan's way of dealing with the enemy, Chen Yi couldn't help but applaud secretly in his heart. Chen Yi almost always killed his enemies with one move, and he was really tortured slowly. The main reason is that his attack is too strong, and it will completely kill the opponent if he is not careful. Although Long Lan's behavior was a bit cruel, Chen Yi didn't think there was anything wrong with it. This Dragon Queen's style of doing things was particularly pleasing to him. Long Lan held the burnt Tiger King in his claws and threw her out like trash. That proud expression, coupled with the way she kills enemies, makes her queen look even more perfect. After taking care of the Tiger King, Long Lan looked at Chen Yi beside him. Her arrogant expression changed and she said respectfully, "I've seen the immortal, thank you for the immortal's rescue." "You are Xiaobai's master?" she asked curiously. Xiaobai once said that she had a master, but the man in front of her came to save Xiaobai without saying a word, so he must be her master. She was surprised that there was a human race monk who was willing to accept a monster race as a disciple. Chen Yi smiled easily and nodded. "Just call me Chen Yi. By Yahweh is my new direct disciple, and my profound heaven sect is also within this Lingshu mountain." When Chen Yi said this, he paused. Speaking of profound heaven sect, his sect has always been short of manpower. Whether it is a disciple or an elder responsible for teaching disciples. Long Lan's work style is very suitable to Chen Yi's liking. He does not forget to protect his friends in times of crisis, is not afraid of powerful enemies, and does not have too much kindness. He takes good care of his fellow humans, and underneath his seemingly arrogant appearance, he hides a very gentle heart. This is very similar to her second disciple. What's more, Long Lan's appearance is really stunning. This tall figure and cool appearance are enough to capture the hearts of all men. Of course, this is definitely a plus point, and it won't be a negative. Thinking of this, Chen Yi continued. My Profound Heaven sect has been short of manpower. Are you willing to come to Profound Heaven sect and serve as the Grand Elder? In the past, Chen Yi only had 3 direct disciples by his side, and he took them with him wherever he went. But it can't be done now. There are other people in the sect. When Chen Yi is away, he needs the protection of a strong elder. Long Lan's realm is as high as Violet Palace realm's second layer. After she joins the sect, she practices the techniques given by Chen Yi. With such strength, even if Chen Yi is not at home, the sect no longer has to worry about safety. Long Lan was particularly surprised when she heard his proposal. It's outrageous enough that this man can take monster race as his disciple. You actually want to hand over the management position of the sect to her? Doesn't this man have any discrimination against the monster race? Long Lan once lived in human society, and she never wanted to integrate into human society. But later monster race was excluded and had to move to Lingshu Mountain. As a result, today, Chen Yi asked her to join the sect without any scruples. How could this make her unhappy? A rare smile appeared on Long Lan's cold face. My emperor, can I really do that? She asked hesitantly. Seeing that she was hesitant, Chen Yi nodded affirmatively. Of course, it's no problem. After receiving Chen Yi's affirmation, Long Lan looked a little excited. But soon, she seemed to have thought of something, and said with a worried expression. I am very willing to join Profound Heaven sect, but I still have subordinates. They are loyal to me, and I cannot leave them alone. The monster beasts that followed Long Lan to fight came to Long Lan one after another. Their expressions were sincere and they all advised. Lord Dragon King, don't worry about us. It is a great opportunity to practice under the immortals. As long as you can get this opportunity, we will be satisfied. Long Lan shook his head. She wanted to become an immortal, and she also wanted to pursue the supreme realm. But she can't leave those who trust her alone. Chen Yi looked at this scene and glanced at the monsters present. There are less than 20 monsters in total, and their realms are all around the divine treasure realm. When they followed Long Lan to fight and die, Chen Yi also saw it. Being able to have this state of mind shows that they are trustworthy. Profound Heaven Sect is short of people. If all of them can be accepted as elders, then his sect will take shape. With enough human resources, he can officially establish a sect and recruit disciples. Chen Yi already has a lot of ideas in his mind about his sect's plans. Chen Yi said to the monsters, "I trust you, so come with me. The Profound Heaven Sect has reserved the position of elder for you." When the demons heard Chen Yi's words, they were undoubtedly shocked. Did they even have the qualifications to follow Chen Yi? In their eyes, Chen Yi helped them without any reason, and later gave them a great opportunity. How could this not move them? The kindness of this human being is worth their lifetime to repay. Long Lan didn't expect Chen Yi to accept so many people at once. I don't know if Chen Yi is really short of people, or because of her. If it was just for her, it would be too much to pay. Moreover, she and Chen Yesu don't know each other, but just because of her relationship with Bai Yahweh, is it worth Chen Yi paying so much for her? Chen Yi was so kind to her, could it be? As soon as Long Lan had this idea in his mind, he laughed to himself. She is a monster, and high-level human monks disdain to have thoughts about monster race. But she, the dragon, has some random thoughts. Long Lan no longer had any worries and naturally had no reason to refuse. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She has been a noble dragon since birth. In the subsequent cultivation path, he made rapid progress. Apart from his subordinates and followers, he never had any superiors around him. She didn't know if she could be Chen Yi's subordinate, and she never thought that a human would become her superior. She doesn't know what it feels like to be someone else's subordinate. Long Lan has not met anyone stronger than her for a long time. And what she likes most is the existence that is stronger than her. Not only was Chen Yi stronger than her, he was also so kind to her and her clan members. If Long Lan wants to surrender to anyone one day, it will be Chen Yi, and it will always be Chen Yi. Thinking of this, Long Lan opened her beautiful eyes and looked at Chen Yi seriously. Then she bent her noble knees, knelt on one knee, and the dragon claw of her right hand floated over her heart. Long Lan, I have met the sect leader. Then she bent her noble knees, knelt on one knee, and the dragon claw of her right hand floated over her heart. Long Lan, I have met the sect leader. As Long Lan formally swore allegiance, the other monsters also knelt down on one knee in front of Chen Yi. I've met the sect leader. Hello, Lord Sect Master. We will protect Profound Heaven Sect to the death. Chen Yi was the first human being to accept them, which moved them even more. At the same time, I am full of yearning for the future life. As the demon beasts declared their surrender, the system's voice also sounded in Chen Yi's mind. Ding, the host has detected 18 elders, total reward system points, 24,000 points. Chen Yi didn't think of recruiting the elder, but it turned out that he had some system points to give him as a gift. This made him very happy. When he looked at the demons again, Chen Yi felt that they were much closer. Chen Yi stepped forward with a smile, held Long Lan's claws, and helped her up. Metropolitan. Long Lan realized that Chen Yi had touched her dragon claw, and she looked a little surprised. Human race generally does not touch the monster race's body. In their view, it is a filthy existence. And she just turned her right hand into a dragon claw during the battle, and she hasn't changed it back yet. Chen Yi just held her huge dragon claw without any hesitation. Warm body temperature spread along the palm of his hand. This was the first time Long Lan had such contact with a human being. She looked at Chen Yi's gentle smile, and for some reason, her head couldn't help but droop downward. As if to cover up his blush. I am very happy to get your help. Let's go back to the sect. Chen Yi said sincerely, and then left with everyone. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded from a distance. Sir, please stay. Qi Gusheng flew over with his disciples and shouted at the same time. This voice is slightly old, but there is kindness in it. Chen Yi looked at it in confusion and asked expressionlessly. What's the matter? Chen Yi originally thought it was another invading enemy, but looking at the opponent's posture, it didn't seem to be the case. Judging from the other party's attitude, it seems more like he is asking for something from himself. Qi Gusheng landed in front of Chen Yi, bowed deeply, and said respectfully. I have long heard that there is a powerful immortal living in seclusion in Lingshu Mountain. Today I saw the immortal take action. It is really extraordinary. Our medicine, divine sect, is weak and needs a strong person to take charge. I know the conditions of mere mortals, and it is impossible for an immortal to be tempted. So we, the divine sect, wish to all submit to the profound heaven sect and hope to be protected by the immortals. After that, Qi Gusheng knelt down directly and performed the entrance ceremony regardless of Chen Yedong's descent. The other 200 or so disciples also knelt down one after another, their expressions full of sincerity. Chen Yi was a little confused by this sudden scene. Why did he kneel down before he agreed? After waiting for a while, Chen Yi didn't hear any systematic sound in his mind. The system probably concluded that Chen Yi did not accept them, so the rewards were not issued. Only then did Chen Yi breathe a sigh of relief. If the system recognizes them, he will be more or less responsible even if he doesn't want to in the future. But no matter what, the people in divine sect in front of him were really sincere, making it difficult for him to feel disgusted. The Qi Gusheng in front of him was even more immortal, and his face didn't look like a sinister person. Although Chen Yi didn't believe in faces, he believed in his own intuition. You didn't take action against my people just now, and I saw it. Since you are so sincere, I will not disappoint you. Help me do something. Once it's done, I will accept your submission. Chen Yi said slowly. Seeing that the immortal was willing to accept their submission, Qi Gusheng's expression suddenly became excited. His idea is very simple. As long as they can get the protection of immortals, their sect can spread far and wide without fear of enemies. And the medicinal herbs and elixirs he spent his whole life developing will not fall into the hands of the enemy. It can also heal diseases and save people with peace of mind, benefiting thousands of living beings. Just give your orders, immortal, and we will do our best to handle it. Chen Yi nodded with satisfaction and said, I plan to establish a sect and recruit disciples from all over the world. You should spread the news that Profound Heaven Sect is recruiting disciples, and set the time for the opening of the sect in 10 days. After accepting so many elders, Chen Yi's sect has taken initial shape. And his idea of starting a sect can be officially launched. Presumably soon, the sect will regain its former vitality. Qi Gusheng didn't expect this task to be so simple. He nodded repeatedly with an excited expression. After Chen Yi finished speaking, he didn't stay any longer, turned around and flew away. Long Lan took one last look at the cave where he had lived for hundreds of years, shook his head, and flew over with Chen Yi. The demons also followed one after another, and everyone set off on their way back. On the way back, mid-air, Bai Yahweh happily held Long Lan's hand and said with a smile. We don't have to be separated from now on. We can play with you every day. By the way, why are your eyes so red? Did you cry just now? Bai Yahweh stared into Long Lan's eyes in surprise. Before Chen Yi arrived, when Long Lan was about to die, she did shed tears because she was worried about her companions. But she would never admit it no matter what. How could the proud Dragon King shed tears? Even if I die, I won't admit it. You're wrong, no. Bai Yahweh was still reluctant, but I really. Long Lan was worried that she would continue talking, so he held her in front of him and covered her mouth directly. Bai Yahweh is like a small figure, looking extremely mini under Long Lan's very tall figure. Lang Luoli followed the master and looked back at Long Lan curiously. Lang Luoli originally thought that she could rely on her unique temperament to crush her senior and junior sisters in front of her master. But looking at the newcomer Long Lan, Lang Luoli suddenly felt that she was much weaker than her. The Dragon Emperor temperament in Long Lan was even higher than her ice and snow temperament. Lang Luoli looked at Long Lan, who was taller than her. She used to be the tallest beauty in Lingshu Mountain, but it seems like she is no longer. For some reason, Lang Luoli always felt that her status was about to be shaken. The camera turned to the Tianshuan Palace. Chen Yi distributed unification level basic skills to everyone according to the preferences of each elder. Then I distributed the elders to various departments to adapt to the environment in advance. Fortunately, when establishing a sect, I can better guide my disciples. After all the elders left, only one elder, Long Lan, was left in the field. Chapter 91. Long Lan looked at Chen Yi doubtfully and asked, Lord Sect Master, what should I do? Seeing that everyone else had something to do and she was the only one with nothing to do, she felt a little at a loss. Chen Yi exchanged another book of exercises, which was different from the ones given to other elders before. He took out this skill book, named Yanlong Tian Gong. There is a blazing temperature on the body of the Kung Fu, and the whole body is red. The whole technique gives people the feeling that after opening it, there is not text inside, but a piece of hot magma. As soon as Long Lan saw this technique, the man couldn't look away. She could feel that this technique seemed to be tailor-made for her. Under her gaze, Chen Yi handed the technique to her. Lord Sect Master, is this for me? Long Lan asked in surprise. Chen Yi nodded. Of course, this technique can only be practiced by you. Long Lan took over the technique, and the whole dragon didn't know what he was thinking. This technique seemed to be of a very high level, indicating that it was tailor-made for her by Chen Yi. But she just met Chen Yi not long ago, how could she do this skill so fast? Could it be that Chen Yi had prepared it for her a long time ago? She and Chen Yesu don't know each other, why does Chen Yi pay so much attention to her? If Chen Yi wanted something in her, he would naturally not be so kind to her and let her join the sect. With Chen Yi's strength, he could easily kill her. But a strange man is so kind to a woman inexplicably. What else could it be because of? Long Lan lowered her head and looked at her long and beautiful legs, which were always exposed, and her tall peaks. Based on her knowledge, her appearance and figure should be excellent compared to human women. Coupled with the fact that Chen Yi doesn't hate foreign races. Could it be that Chen Yi likes her? Very possible. As soon as Long Lan thought of this, his body temperature began to rise sharply. As the Dragon Emperor, she has never considered the matter of men and women. This kind of thing was placed in front of her today, and she didn't know what to do. Should she refuse Chen Yi? Chen Yi was so kind to her and her clan members, and even gave her such precious skills. If she refuses, isn't it too? But if you accept it? Long Lan raised her head, and this time she looked at Chen Yi particularly carefully. He has a tall and straight figure, handsome appearance, easygoing temperament and graceful manner. The most important thing is that Chen Yi is still so strong. This is the only thing she can't resist. She likes people who are stronger than her. Chen Yi felt a little uncomfortable when he saw Long Lan looking at him seriously. What is this dragon thinking? Chen Yi had also seen Long Lan's look on the faces of his disciples. I always feel like I'm not thinking about anything normal. Su Jiqian noticed the changes in Long Lan. As a succubus, she is the most sensitive to emotional fluctuations. This dragon is definitely in love with her master, absolutely. This is bad. Su Jiqian looked at junior sister Leng beside her. She felt it didn't matter anymore, after all, she had already won it. But junior sister Leng seems to have another opponent. Chen Yi cleared his throat at this time and brought everyone back from their thoughts. Ahem, Long Lan, now that the number of elders in the sect has increased, it is difficult for me to manage them. You will assume the position of great elder and be responsible for assisting me in management. You can just live in Tianshuan Palace from now on. As the number of elders increases, there will be more in the future. If Chen Yi were to manage hundreds of elders, he would be extremely busy. Long Lan once served as the Dragon Emperor, and there were many elders who were his former subordinates. With a little training in her management skills, she should be very good. It would be perfect for her to be given the position of Great Elder. Chen Yi can also relax a little and have more time to instruct his direct disciples in their practice. The reason why she was allowed to live in Tianshuan Hall was just because she was close and could communicate with each other about sect affairs. Absolutely no other ideas. When Long Lan learned that he had been awarded such a special position, he nodded seriously and vowed to do a good job. But knowing that she was arranged to live next to the sect master made her even more sure of her inner thoughts. The sect leader must have liked her, so he kept her by his side. This dragon has an unusual amount of inner drama. After Chen Yi had arranged everything, it was already evening. Bai Yahweh had just recovered after taking the healing pill, and so had Long Lan. Chen Yi thought it would be better for everyone to rest early. Chen Yi said goodbye to his disciples and returned to his room early. Seeing the master leaving, all the disciples also completely let go. Although Chen Yi is usually very easygoing with them, there are some things that cannot be said in front of the master. Su Jiqian poked Long Lan's shoulder and said with a wicked smile, "Elder, let me take you to a room to rest." After saying that, Su Jiqian couldn't help but hold her hand and left the place. Long Lan, like Leng Luoli, doesn't like strangers touching her. But the person who touched her was the eldest disciple of the sect master, and he was extremely beautiful. It was rare that she didn't feel disgust in her heart. Long Lan was led by Su Jiqian and came to a deserted place. Seeing that there was no one around, Su Jiqian opened her mouth and asked, "Elder, do you like my master?" Opening your mouth is a critical hit. Logically speaking, this kind of thing should be hidden deep in the heart. How could it be said casually? After hearing this, Long Lan's face was filled with shock and she took a few steps back. What are you talking about? I am a monster race. How is it possible? Even if it is possible, how can it be possible for the sect leader?" She mentioned 3 possibilities in a row, looking very flustered. Because of shyness, a blush appeared on the cold white skin, which was very obvious. Seeing her reaction, Su Jiqian became even more sure of her suspicion. "It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you admit it. Everyone likes master and will understand you," Su Jiqian said without hesitation. She quite likes this dragon king. Like junior sister Lang, he looks a little arrogant but is actually very gentle at heart. It must be fun to tease. You all like it." Long Lan was a little surprised when he learned the news. Everyone in Tianquan Hall, or the entire sect, seems to have strong feelings for the sect leader. Whether it's the love between a man and a woman, simple gratitude, or friendship. She began to be a little curious, wondering how Chen Yi did it. Long Lan found that since she met Chen Yi had always been on her mind. It was as if Chen Yi occupied her entire heart. Su Jiqian nodded, stretched out her jade hand, wanted to shake it, and said with a smile, "I am the senior sister here, and I officially welcome you on behalf of everyone. Not only does Master believe in you, I also trust you." Su Jiqian nodded, stretched out her jade hand, wanted to shake it, and said with a smile, "I am the senior sister here, and I officially welcome you on behalf of everyone. Not only does Master believe in you, I also trust you." Long Lan looked at her outstretched hand, and then at his own. The people in this sect are all surprisingly kind. Not only Chen Yi, but his disciples are also very friendly. This gave her, as an elder, a strong sense of responsibility. She wants to protect these lovely disciples forever. She smiled, stretched out her hand and shook Su Jiqian's hand. Thank you." The hand that Su Jiqian held with her was a bit unfaithful. He rubbed Long Lan's palms over and over again, making Long Lan itchy. "Elder, your fingers are slender and soft. Master must be very pleased." While she was speaking, footsteps suddenly came from behind, interrupting her. It was Hu Juyu who came over. When Su Jiqian saw junior sister Hu appearing, she waved her hands to Long Lan and said as she walked, "There are still many vacant houses in Tianquan Palace. Elder, you can find one to live in. That's it for today, see you tomorrow." Su Jiqian spoke, took Hu Juyu's arm and walked away. Long Lan looked at Su Jiqian who left in a hurry and thought to herself, "This eldest disciple of the sect master is really interesting." She walked around a few times and found that the houses close to the sect master's main hall were already occupied by 3 disciples. Even the roof of the sect leader's house is guarded by Bai Yahweh. There was no chance for her to take advantage of it. She found a relatively nearby house and walked over. Pushing open the door, Long Lan looked at the room curiously. The furnishings in the house are very exquisite, whether it is the mirror, dressing table, wardrobe, or bed, they all reveal a noble temperament. Long Lan has always lived in a dark cave. Although the cave is decorated with various precious gold and silver jewelry, it is not as warm as here. It feels more like home here. Long Lan opened the wardrobe and found that it was full of clothes. In fact, Long Lan had long discovered that the clothes worn by Chen Yi's disciples were different from those in the outside world. Very beautiful, she likes it very much. Could it be that the sect master prepared these clothes for them? Hey, the sect leader turns out to be so attentive. I feel like it even more. Long Lan came to the bed and lay down. A pair of white, smooth, and very slender beautiful legs sit together. She stretched out her jade-like fingers, spread them in front of her eyes, and looked at them thoughtfully. Su Jiqian said that the lord of the clan would like her hands very much. Is this true? Long Lan only felt that her head was full of old leaves, and she couldn't sleep at all in the quiet evening. Well, I can't go on like this, I can't sleep at all. How can I meet everyone in my best condition tomorrow? The most important thing is to meet the sect master. Gotta do something to distract me. Long Lan muttered, and soon she remembered. The Tiger King's clan members should still be hiding somewhere in Lingshu Mountain. It should be a lot better to kill a few criminals to relax. Thinking in his mind, Long Lan stood up directly, opened the door and flew out. Su Jiqian pushed junior sister Hu to a corner of the square. She noticed that Long Lan flew out, but she didn't take it to heart. If junior sister Bai leaves, she will really be worried. But according to Long Lan, with Violet Palace Realm's second layer's heavenly cultivation, it is impossible for anyone in this continent to hurt her. The sense of security is overwhelming. Su, senior sister Su, I just wanted to ask what you were talking about. Why are you pushing me here? Hu Juyu knew senior sister Su's character, and she might have said something strange to the new elder just now. So I wanted to go check it out. Unexpectedly, senior sister Su directly pushed her here. Su Jiqian first looked around. Leng Luoli was quietly in the room, probably already asleep. Bai Yahweh was lying on the master's roof, breathing evenly, obviously falling asleep. Realizing that there was no one around, Su Jiqian leaned into junior sister Hu's ear and whispered something. This, that, beep, grunt, grunt. When Hu Juyu heard what senior sister Su said, her mouth opened wide with a shocked expression. What senior sister Su said is too bold. But it's not impossible. Although I am very shy, but it will definitely be fun. Then it's agreed that we will gather in front of master's door later. Su Jiqian said goodbye to junior sister Hu with a smile and returned to the room, as if she was preparing something. In Chen Yi's room, Chen Yi didn't have the habit of wearing clothes when sleeping. At this time, he had just taken off his shirt. His figure is well proportioned and strong, and his broad chest and abdominal muscles are clearly visible. Chen Yi sat by the bed and looked up at the ice sculpture given to him by the second disciple. The last time Chen Yi took a closer look at the ice sculpture, he felt something was not right. It seems that there is spiritual power surging inside, and there is some formation contained in it. Chen Yi curiously took it in his hand and looked at it again. In Leng Luoli's room, Leng Luoli did not fall asleep after returning to bed. She put on an ice blue suspender pajamas, her white and slender legs unwrapped. The long blue hair is as smooth as silk and spreads down the back of her head. No matter at any time, Leng Luoli's body revealed the temperament of a snow and ice beauty, like a fairy. She sat beside the bed, thoughtfully holding the same ice sculpture she gave to master. Originally, she had no feelings when her master took Long Lan under his command. But the master had just arranged for Long Lan to enter the Tianxuan Palace, which gave her a strong sense of crisis. In her eyes, Bai Yahweh was just a cute little junior sister, so Leng Luoli didn't feel anything when she appeared. But Long Lan was different. In terms of figure and beauty, he seemed to be on par with her, or even slightly better than her. The two of them are somewhat similar in terms of personality and temperament. Long Lan is more like her replacement. Could it be that the master got bored with her and turned to like Long Lan, so he arranged to keep her by his side? No, this is absolutely not possible. She is master's second disciple, and she has liked master for so long. How can she be inferior to a newcomer? Leng Luoli's mood was a little low. The only thing that could comfort her at this time was master's gentle face. Thinking in her mind, she injected spiritual power into the ice sculpture and activated the imaging formation. Chen Yi on the other side was observing the ice sculpture carefully. He felt that the formation inside the ice sculpture was being driven. Feeling the surge of the formation at such a close range, Chen Yi discovered immediately that this was a photo formation. He felt that the formation inside the ice sculpture was being driven. Feeling the surge of the formation at such a close range, Chen Yi discovered immediately that this was a photo formation. And the disciple originally hid this in this ice sculpture. To observe my master's movements. You are so curious. Chen Yi thought to himself. He knew that Lang Luoli was watching him from the side at this moment. Chen Yi smiled gently and waved his hand, saying hello to the ice sculpture. This scene frightened Lang Luoli. The ice sculpture let go and fell to the ground. Teacher, Master has discovered it. If Master finds out that I have been peeping, how will I see Master in the future? I'm so stupid. Master is so powerful, how could he not notice this little trick? Lang Luoli was so shy at this time that she just wanted to find a crack in the ground and crawl into it. The thought of seeing her master tomorrow made her extremely embarrassed. At the same time, she still had some regrets. I regret that I shouldn't have done these little tricks. Originally, she could still contact the master casually, but now that she is discovered, will she not even have the chance to touch the master in the future? Lang Luoli buried her head in the quilt, wishing she could go back to a few days ago. In Chen Yi's room, when Chen Yi saw that the ice sculpture had lost its spiritual power, he also knew that the other side had withdrawn its spiritual power. He had no choice but to put the statue back in its place. No matter what is in this statue, it was given by his beloved second disciple. How could he be embarrassed to throw it away? Naturally, it still needs to be put back into place. But at this time, Chen Yi was thoughtful. Although the second disciple is much more serious than the first disciple, he sometimes does some strange things. The second disciple had been hugging and kissing him. These seemingly unintentional but actually intentional actions were seen by Chen Yi. Perhaps because of Su Jiqian and Hu Juyu, after taking this first step, Chen Yi found it increasingly difficult to suppress his love for his disciple. Scenes from the past with Lang Luoli appeared in Chen Yi's mind. At this time, he had to admit that he had deep feelings for his second disciple. This kind of emotion is not only the care of the master for his disciples, but also some feelings between men and women. Lang Luoli's constant close contact with him made it difficult for him not to have this idea. No matter what it is, Lang Luoli is a woman worthy of Chen Yi's lifelong protection, love and responsibility. Thinking of this, Chen Yi's thoughts began to become clearer. He knew that as a master, he should not have such feelings for his disciples. But once it happens, it is even more wrong to keep it in your heart. Chen Yi felt that he needed to make it clear to Lang Luoli. No matter whether the other party accepted his love or not, he had to say it out. At least this would allow him to know whether he should face Lang Luoli as a lover or as a disciple. It shouldn't be so vague anymore. After thinking about it, Chen Yi closed his eyes and planned to get up tomorrow to deal with this matter. Just as he was about to fall asleep, he heard a rustling sound outside the window. Outside the window, Hu Juyu, Senior Sister Su, aren't we meeting at the master's door? Why come to the window? Su Jiqian, you will know soon. This is the agreement between Master Heart and I. Well, the window is still open as expected. Su Jiqian took the lead to cross in, followed closely by Hu Juyu. The two of them stepped directly on Chen Yi. Chen Yi was so stressed that he felt like he couldn't breathe. Chen Yi subconsciously hugged the two of them to prevent them from falling. At the same time he said doubtfully, Kaianer, Uaa, what are you doing? Su Jiqian reached out and covered the master's eyes. She smiled evilly and said, Master, let's play a game. Blindfold your eyes and see if you can guess. 6. There are two different beautiful scenery in Lingshu Mountain. During the day, there will be a blazing sun that roasts the earth. It's just that this hot temperature will appear very soft and warm when it falls on the profound heaven sect. It makes people feel relaxed and happy, very comfortable. At night, the clear light of the moon will replace the sun and create a new beauty. But one day, the moon and the sun will appear in Tianshuan Palace at the same time. Two different beautiful scenery, when merged together. It will make people excited and shed rich tears. The scenery sometimes flips back and forth, with the clear light of the moon surpassing the sun and occupying the peak. The sun's rays will spread to the end of the world, which means she has a broad mind. The sun does not compete with the moon for the opportunity to shine, but sometimes helps the moon to shine brighter. Lingshu Mountain is a holy land for spiritual practice, and the scenery here is particularly beautiful. Not only is the scenery here beautiful, but the concentration of spiritual power is also extremely high, allowing people to break through quickly. People who practice here can sometimes achieve continuous breakthroughs in one night, breaking through multiple realms, and their realms improve rapidly. Early the next morning, inside Tianshuan Hall, Long Lan went out all night and just came back in the morning. Lingshu Mountain occupies a very large area, and the Tiger King hid his people early. It took Long Lan a whole morning to deal with it thoroughly and eliminate the roots. She landed from a high altitude and shook off the blood on the dragon's claws. Her Longan was extremely cold and her mood was a little depressed. Only when she returned to Tianshuan Palace did her mood improve a lot. Although those killed were all traitors, they were still her people. She needs time to adjust. Long Lan did not return to the square immediately, but hovered in midair for a while. She discovered that there was a tall tower beside the square of Tianshuan Palace. This tower has always existed, but Chenyi has never mentioned it. She could feel strong spiritual energy fluctuations inside, and there seemed to be something hidden inside the tower. Long Lan flew over curiously and stood under the tower and looked at it carefully. This tower is over 100 meters high, and the entire tower exudes a rich light cyan light, which exudes very rich spiritual power. She put her hand on the door curiously, wanting to push it open and enter. But soon, she stopped her movements. Although she is the great elder of Profound Heaven Sect, she should not touch these things in Profound Heaven Sect without the permission of the sect leader. If you do that, you are obviously disobeying the sect leader. Although she is the Dragon King of Lingshu Mountain, she is Chenyi's subordinate. She must always remember her identity and cannot do anything out of line. Thinking in her mind, she took her hand back. It's better to wait until the lord of the clan wakes up and ask about the situation of this tower. It's better to wait until the lord of the clan wakes up and ask about the situation of this tower. Long Lan thought to herself and left here temporarily. When she arrived at the square, she saw Lang Luoli meditating alone on the ground. Her pair of slender beautiful legs were crossed together, and the spiritual power around her body surged rapidly, and the power contained in the spiritual power was extremely terrifying. Long Lan had long discovered that these three disciples of Chenyi were very unusual. This Lang Luoli, just by meditating on a daily basis, mobilized spiritual power far beyond the power of the innate realm. Did Chenyi assign the same top-notch skills as hers to every disciple? If this is the case, where did Chenyi get so many excellent skills? Long Lan only felt that the sect leader contained too many secrets. Her curiosity was aroused even more. Long Lan walked to Lang Luoli's side. She found that Lang Luoli's meditation was very unusual. Although it was all about mobilizing spiritual power for practice, it was different from what she knew. It seems that Lang Luoli's meditation method improves her realm more quickly. Long Lan imitated her movements and sat cross-legged next to her. She didn't want to disturb Lang Luoli's practice and planned to think about it by herself. It can be seen that Lang Luoli opened her beautiful eyes and looked at her, and then Long Lan said slightly apologetically. I'm sorry to bother you. I'm a little curious. Your way of meditation seems to be very special. If it's convenient, can you teach me? Her tone was sincere. Lang Luoli was disturbed and was in a bad mood. When she saw it was Long Lan, her mood became even worse. Not only did this guy seduce her favorite master, he also came to disturb her practice. However, after hearing Long Lan's words, her mentality changed slightly. Unexpectedly, Long Lan, with his cold appearance and aloof status as Dragon King, would sincerely ask her for advice. It seems that Long Lan's character is not as arrogant as she thought. This was the first time Lang Luoli was alone with Long Lan. She carefully looked at the beautiful woman next to her who would make her master want to keep her by his side. Long Lan's legs were sitting cross-legged like hers. Her beautiful legs were very well proportioned and slender, even more tangible than hers. The cold white skin is very similar to hers. Looking further up, they are also very similar. No, it's not very similar, it seems to be a lot bigger than hers. Even more angry. But what made her feel comfortable was that although Long Lan sat beside her, he kept a distance. Not only will this distance not make people feel alienated, it will also not make people feel too close. Compared with her senior sister, she is much stronger. Her senior sister always wants to stick with her whenever she has nothing to do, touch her here, touch that. There is no sense of boundaries at all. Lang Luoli took a deep breath and said to Long Lan, "It's the meditation method that Master taught us. Since you are now a member of the Profound Heaven sect, there is no point in teaching you. I'm only going to say it once, please listen carefully." Although Lang Luoli was a little wary of Long Lan, that was another matter. As for business matters, she still knows the difference very clearly. Master can bring Long Lan into the sect, so he naturally trusts Long Lan, so there is no problem if she teaches Long Lan this meditation method. Lang Luoli felt quite accomplished when she thought that as a monk in the innate realm, she was actually teaching a Violet Palace realm the power of the Violet Palace realm. Lang Luoli quickly taught her the method. After Long Lan learned it, he tried to meditate for a while, and his cultivation progressed faster. She thanked Lang Luoli excitedly. "It's really much faster. Thank you very much, Lang Luoli. I can't accept the help in vain. You must like the color blue very much. I have an accessory here that I can give to you as a gift." As Long Lan said this, he took out an ice blue necklace from the storage ring. There is something that looks like a dragon scale hanging in the middle of the necklace, but it is pure blue. This necklace also faintly exudes some kind of power, which seems to be the dragon power of the original owner of the dragon scale. This kind of dragon power will deter other monsters and monsters, making monsters with evil intentions feel afraid and dare not approach. This is a very precious treasure, absolutely worth a fortune if placed outside. "Is this for me?" Lang Luoli took the necklace with some surprise. Long Lan was one of her own, and Lang Luoli taught her meditation techniques, but she didn't expect to get anything. As a result, the explosion rate of this dragon was unexpectedly high, and it could explode top-level equipment with just a touch. He is worthy of being the Dragon King, and he does have a lot of good things. Lang Luoli really likes this ice blue dragon scale necklace. Seeing Long Lan's sincere thanks, Lang Luoli felt a little embarrassed for a moment. This dragon doesn't seem that annoying. Getting along with her will not make Lang Luoli feel boundaryless or too alienated. He is also very polite, does not put on airs, is very beautiful, and is also very strong and reliable. Looking back at her senior sister, even though she has no sense of boundaries, she always eats secretly behind her back. No matter how you look at it, this dragon is 100 times more powerful than her hateful senior sister. Thinking of this, Lang Luoli smiled helplessly. She held the necklace given by Long Lan in her hand, stretched out her other hand, and said with a smile, "You're welcome. By the way, although you already know my name, I haven't formally introduced myself yet. I am Master's second disciple. My name is Lang Luoli. Nice to meet you." Lang Luoli had truly accepted this newcomer at this time. Although I was still a little wary of her beauty, she finally took a big step forward. When Long Lan saw her stretching out her hand, she also stretched out her hand and shook it. The two have officially known each other since then. Speaking of which, Lord Sect Leader, does he always get up very late? Long Lan looked at the sun hanging high in the sky and asked with some doubts. Lang Luoli had long been accustomed to Master getting up late, and said nonchalantly, "Well, that happens sometimes." On the roof of Chen Yi's house, Bai Yahweh, who had just woken up, stretched out comfortably. She rolled around on the roof a few times before opening her eyes in a daze. Located high up, she could see the square at a glance. Seeing that only Long Lan and Lang Luoli were together, she guessed that the Master hadn't woken up yet. "Master, really, without her licking wake-up call service, I wouldn't be able to get up at all. It seems she must fulfill this duty." Thinking in her mind, she jumped from the roof. Bai Yahweh has the habit of patrolling the territory, and she is very familiar with every corner of Tianshuan Palace. On one side of Master's house, there is a window that is always open. She came to the side of the house and jumped directly through the window. Chen Yi. This was the second time that Chen Yi enjoyed this overwhelming feeling of suffocation. He was in a daze and did not get up immediately. After a while, Chen Yi felt that his face and head were a little wet. It seemed like the cat owner was checking to see if the owner was still alive in the early morning. Chen Yi still didn't wake up, but subconsciously reached out his hand and hugged Bai Yawei tightly in front of him. Then he turned over and changed into a comfortable position to continue sleeping. The delicate body in his arms was very soft. Chen Yi buried his face in it and felt sleepier. Bai Yawei was suddenly hugged by the master. She realized that the master had buried his head in her arms, and her cheeks turned red for a moment. Smelling the master's delicious fragrance, Bai Yawei didn't struggle. She hugged master's head with both hands and just followed him. Soon after, she felt that she was being hugged so lovingly by her master that she could hardly breathe. She patted master's head, but master had no intention of waking up. She had no choice but to turn her gaze to her side. "Senior Sister Su, save me." As she spoke, she stretched out her hand, wanting to tug Senior Sister Su to wake her up. But she unexpectedly discovered that the color of Senior Sister Su's hands was not right. The slender jade hand on her side is a healthy wheat color. This is obviously the color that only Senior Sister Hu can have. Why is Senior Sister Hu here too? This isn't quite right, is it? Wait, if Senior Sister Hu is here and Senior Sister Su has slept with Master, does that mean that anyone who is Master's disciple has the right to sleep? Bai Yawei suddenly thought of it. If this is the case, then she also wants to rest with her master. Bai Yawei's slender tail swayed in the air, and from time to time it would rub against Hu Juyu's plump thighs. Hu Juyu didn't sleep very well. She felt a little itchy, so she woke up. When she woke up in a daze, her first reaction was that someone was touching her thigh. She rubbed her eyes and said, "Master, I also want to, in the morning." "UAA is fine." After she finished speaking, she just opened her eyes. Then she noticed that Bai Yawei's innocent face was looking at her thoughtfully. Hu Juyu. Oops, she thought it was the master just now. It's so embarrassing to say such things in front of the lovely junior sister Bai. Hu Juyu's face was instantly filled with blush, and she was extremely shy. Bai Yawei asked Senior Sister Hu in confusion. "Sister Hu, why are you here? Can anyone who becomes Master's disciple be able to rest with Master? Then why didn't I see Senior Sister Leng?" Hu Juyu felt faintly afraid when she heard Senior Sister Leng's name. She still remembers the scene where Senior Sister Leng chased and beat Senior Sister Su. If Senior Sister Leng knew about it, she would. She doesn't want to be lectured by Senior Sister Leng. Thinking of this, Hu Juyu said to Bai Yawei seriously. "Shish, Junior Sister Bai, what you saw today, absolutely, cannot be told to Senior Sister Leng." Remember, seeing that Senior Sister Hu was so serious, Bai Yawei nodded obediently. "Then, can I rest with you next time?" Hu Juyu shook her head repeatedly. "Of course that won't work. This is something that can only be done between Taoist couples." Bai Yawei asked. "Then how can I become Master's Taoist companion? I also want to rest with Master. How to become a Taoist couple with Master? Of course it's this, that. Hu Juyu thought about it carefully. No matter what the link was, she couldn't talk to the lovely junior sister Bai. "You'll know when you grow up." Hu Juyu was a little shy. How could she be embarrassed to talk about such a hot topic just after waking up? Bai Yawei thought carefully and then said, "Sister Hu, Wei is almost 1,000 years old. In terms of age, apart from Long Lan, everyone in Tianshuan Palace is not older than me. So Senior Sister Hu, just tell me how you can become a Taoist couple with Master." After hearing this, Hu Juyu really couldn't refute it for a while. But even so, she still couldn't speak. But, I just can't say it anyway. Bai Yawei felt a little depressed when she saw that Senior Sister Hu refused to tell her. She also wanted to rest with her master, so she had to find a way to talk it out. While thinking about it, Bai Yawei smiled mischievously and came up with a plan. "I believe that the next method will be able to pry open your mouth. Senior Sister Hu, you don't want what happened today to be exposed. Then be good. Hu Juyu, Junior Sister Bai, you have learned bad things. You must have learned bad things from Senior Sister Su. It is absolutely impossible for the lovely Junior Sister Bai I know to talk like this." Hu Juyu began to feel that Junior Sister Bai was not as innocent as she thought. There is even some potential of Senior Sister Su. Hu Juyu felt that she could not cope with this cute junior sister, so she reached out to shake the sleeping Senior Sister Su. Senior Sister Sue, get up quickly, something happened. Our affairs are about to be exposed. Su Jiqian was also shaken to wake up. He was in a haze, with a confused look on his face. What happened? What was exposed? What could happen between her and Hu Juyu? Although she is a succubus, she has never attacked anyone of the same gender. Why did it feel like she was caught in bed and the mistress shook her and told her to run away? Calm down, what happened? Su Jiqian asked drowsily. Soon, Hu Juyu told Su Jiqian about Bai Yawei's relationship with the couple. I thought it was Senior Sister Lang who came to kill me. I was shocked. Just teach me how big it is. Su Jiqian waved her hand indifferently. Then she lay next to Junior Sister Bai's ear and whispered something. Soon, Bai Yawei nodded as if he had a sudden realization. So that's what it is. Wei remembered it. Thank you, Senior Sister Su. The conversation between the three of them was a little loud, and even though Chen Yi was sleeping soundly, he woke up this time. As soon as he woke up, Chen Yi saw his 3 good disciples. Wait, 3, why one more? Only then did he notice Bai Yawei in his arms. She was so delicate and soft, and was always held in her arms. No wonder she slept so soundly. After Chen Yi woke up, he received 3 good mornings in a row. He sat up and said to Hu Juyu and Su Jiqian, it's getting late. Thank you for your hard work yesterday. Get up early and practice. Others should be waiting impatiently. When they woke up, the person next to them was Master, which made both of them feel extremely happy for a moment. The 3 of them stayed together for a short while, chatting about what happened last night, which was pillow talk that could not be written down, and then they started to get up and get dressed. After getting dressed, the 4 of them came to the square of Tianshuan Palace together. At this time, Lang Luoli and Long Lan were meditating quietly. It seemed that the 2 of them got along pretty well. Not only did they not quarrel, they were also extremely quiet. To be honest, Chen Yi was still a little worried about whether the 2 could get along with each other at first. After all, based on his understanding of the second disciple, it would not be easy for him to accept newcomers. Maybe the 2 have similar personalities, so they get along well. When the 2 of them saw Chen Yi appearing, they both stepped forward to say hello respectfully. Long Lan, hello, Master. Lang Luoli, hello, Master. Long Lan and Chen Yi have known each other for a relatively short time, and she is not a familiar character. Compared with her disciples, she is a little more reserved. Long Lan took this opportunity to say hello and carefully looked at the man who kept her awake. Compared with yesterday's fight, Chen Yi was less aggressive and more elegant and gentle. Chen Yi's charm in daily life is also amazing. Just when this idea came to Long Lan's mind, she shook her head suddenly and tried her best to bring her thoughts back. I am here to assist Chen Yi in managing the sect, so how can I think about all these things? Chen Yi, a monk in the Divine Treasure realm, was so tired that he had to get up at noon every day just to manage the sect. You must be extremely exhausted to do this. In order to repay Chen Yi's life-saving grace and the kindness of knowing someone, she must try her best to help Chen Yi share the burden. Absolutely must not have thoughts that make Chen Yi even more tired. Thinking of this, Long Lan asked, Lord Sect Leader, what is that tower for? Long Lan discovered the unusual building when he came back. Because she didn't get permission from the sect leader, she didn't enter without permission. This time I just want to ask myself. Chen Yi followed her gaze. It is no exaggeration to say that this tower is the tallest building in the Profound Heaven sect. It stands there clearly. Chen Yi's Profound Heaven sect is a sect with very complete facilities and is divided into different departments. Each department has a dedicated training facility. For example, the Demonic Cultivator department has a hall for disciples to practice evil spirits. The Alchemy Cultivation Department and the Sword Cultivation Department also have a similar point. Tianshuan Palace is independent of these. The facilities here are the most comprehensive and the most advanced. But the price is that neither the indoor hot spring with rich spiritual energy nor any other building can accommodate too many disciples. Therefore, Chen Yi could only prepare it for his direct disciples. Chen Yi discovered the tower mentioned by Long Lan very early. The name of the tower is Zhenxian Tower, with a total of 55 floors. It is a facility to assist disciples in practicing martial arts. There are enemies on each floor. As long as you defeat them, you can get cultivation rewards. The enemies in the tower are very powerful, and you need at least the strength of the innate realm to enter, and every time you open it, you have to wait a long time to recover before you can open it a second time. The disciples' realm was too low before, so Chenyi never let them use it. Nowadays, the disciples' strength is improving rapidly, so they can try it out once. It happened that Long Lan was still there, and he was also curious about how high this monk in the Violet Palace realm could climb. Chenyi led everyone to the bottom of the Junxian Tower. Since you are curious, I will take you in to have a look. If I remember correctly, this tower can only be opened once a month. You must try your best to climb to the top to gain more cultivation. Long Lan was very surprised to hear that she could also enter. She thought this place was only for disciples to use, but she didn't expect that she, an elder, could also use it. Sir, Lord, can I come in too? Long Lan still couldn't believe it, she wanted to make sure. Chenyi nodded naturally without any hesitation. Of course. From now on, when you live in Tianshuan Palace, I can also guide you in your cultivation. If you don't suggest that I am just a monk in the Divine Treasure realm. Although Chenyi's realm is not as high as hers, he is still more than enough to guide her in her practice. But when I think of low-level monks guiding high-level monks in their practice, I feel a little embarrassed. After Long Lan learned the news, how could he refuse? I saw her nodding excitedly. How could you possibly suggest it? Thank you, Lord Sect Master. Long Lan never thought that Chenyi was just a monk from the Divine Treasure realm. In her opinion, Chenyi must have hidden his cultivation early. In the true realm, I am afraid that I have already reached the immortal level. It's just that Chenyi is a low-key person, lives in seclusion here, and doesn't like to expose his strength. The low-key sect leader is even more handsome. And as soon as she asked about the Immortal Suppression Tower, Chenyi immediately brought everyone over. Everyone is allowed to use it. Does that mean that Chenyi opened this precious demon suppression tower for her? Or to be more bold, Chenyi brought everyone here because he was embarrassed to only open it to her alone. After all, the enemies in this tower should be very strong, so it would be of little use to monks below the foundation building stage. And here she is the only one whose realm is above the foundation building stage. The master of the clan was also so good to her. This is so embarrassing for her. If he was so kind to her, it would be hard for her not to have other thoughts about the sect leader. This dragon queen is extremely erotic. The fact is that Chenyi knew that his disciple's true strength far exceeded his current level, so he opened the door. Chenyi placed it on the door of Junxian Tower, slowly pushed the door open, and let everyone in. Although Hu Juyu was only a monk in the acquired realm, his true strength had arrived in the innate realm early, so he also came in with him. The decoration inside the tower is very simple, surrounded by special stone walls, with a staircase in the middle, separated by a transparent wall. Only by defeating the monsters inside can the monks pass through this wall, otherwise they can only be locked outside. Chenyi is the owner of this tower. He does not need to participate in the battle and can travel to each floor at will. He said to everyone. Then everyone, let's get started. I will pay more attention to your performance. When Long Lan heard the sect leader's attention, the whole dragon's fighting spirit was burning. When she fought in Lingshu Mountain before, she was weak and unable to show her true strength. This time I just take advantage of this opportunity to show off my strength in front of the sect leader. Maybe you can get the appreciation of the sect master for this. Long Lan imagined in her mind what it would be like to be appreciated by the sect leader. Long Lan imagined in her mind what it would be like to be appreciated by the sect leader. In Long Lan's fantasy, Chenyi looked at her with care in his eyes, and held her delicate jade hand with great affection. Long Lan wore red high heels and her tall figure was even half a head taller than Chenyi. She lowered her head and looked at Chenyi lovingly, with an expression that wanted to refuse but welcome him. It seemed that Chenyi was confessing to her, and she wanted to accept it, but was embarrassed to speak due to her identity. In reality, Long Lan had a smile on his face. Because he laughed without any warning, he looked very strange. Seeing her expression, Su Jiqian patted junior sister Bai next to her and asked her in a low voice. Junior sister Bai, has this dragon's smile always been so obscene? Bai Yahweh also felt a little strange. I've known Long Lan for so long, and this is the first time I've seen her like this. It's really weird. The two of them took a step back with disgust on their faces, keeping a distance from this strange dragon king. Long Lan also came to her senses at this time. She shook her head and cheered up. Then he asked Chen Yi, full of fighting spirit, "Sir, can we start now?" Chen Yi couldn't help but be surprised when he saw that she was so passionate. Seeing that this dragon has a strong desire to win. "You can start anytime." Chen Yi nodded and said. Long Lan received the sect leader's permission and immediately walked into the field. In the center of the first floor is a huge wild boar monster with the realm of innate realm second layer. Without saying a word, Long Lan flew forward and punched the monster on the head. The monster's head was punched through in an instant, and it completely disappeared. The remaining corpses turned into fragments and disappeared into the air. Long Lan didn't waste any time and continued to rush upward. There were 4 disciples left in the field again. Su Jiqian used her elbow to hit junior sister Lang. She smiled and said, "Junior sister Lang, do you want to see who can climb higher? How about the loser has to obey the other party unconditionally for a day?" When Lang Luoli heard her senior sister's suggestion, her expression was a little mocking. "Senior sister, are you serious? My level is higher than that of senior sister. Do you think you will be my opponent?" Su Jiqian had no intention of backing down. The two people practiced different techniques. Judging from the enemy that just appeared, the enemy is a high-level monster. And against a single enemy, this is her advantage. Even though I am a bit colder than junior sister, I may not lose. If you win, then, hee. After being bullied by junior sister Lang for so long, she must regain her face this time. Actually, I usually let you go. Do you really think that senior sister will be inferior to you? Su Jiqian replied unceremoniously. Sparks flew in the eyes of the two people for a moment. Full of gunpowder, Bai Yahweh found senior sister Su's proposal very interesting and wanted to join. Naturally, the two of them had no reason to refuse, and the 3 of them started competing directly. Lang Luoli summoned the ice staff, her eyes full of desire for victory. "Then I'll come first. Senior sister, please keep an eye on me." After saying that, she took steps and walked towards Zongxi. At this time, the demonic beast from the innate realm second layer sky had reformed and was waiting quietly in the field. Seeing Lang Luoli appear, the monster took the lead in killing him. Lang Luoli raised the ice staff and immediately released the ice falling technique. Snowflakes were scattered all over the room, and the huge ice pick smashed down in an instant. The monster's body was pierced by the ice pick, and was carved on the ground. Then it turned into residual light and disappeared from the field. After solving the problem, Lang Luoli glanced at the senior sister provocatively. Then he ran upwards. Su Jiqian was provoked by her junior sister, and she was full of fighting spirit for a while. He used the demonic palm to kill the monster, and then hurriedly chased after it. Bai Yahweh also released Linglong Zongong, and the speed was so fast that the monsters had no chance of attacking. After a few counterattacks, the monster lost its life. In the end, Hu Juyu was the only one left in the field. Hu Juyu was the lowest among the disciples. Seeing everyone rushing out with great interest, she was left behind and felt a little depressed. Upon seeing this, Chen Yi walked forward and gently stroked the top of her head. At the same time he comforted. "Master, I believe you will be able to catch up with the senior sisters soon, don't worry. Come on, I will take good care of you." Feeling Master's gentle encouragement, Hu Juyu's mood improved a lot. She looked at Master's kind face and felt warm in her heart. Master would always encourage her gently, and she could not resist Master's gentle touch on her head at any time. She excitedly put her arms around Master's neck, and then kissed him. Seeing the extremely delicate face approaching, Chen Yi naturally did not refuse. Although he knew that the time was not right, he just tried to comfort his disciple who was feeling depressed. There was no right time or place. Besides, the two of them are already Taoist couples, so it is reasonable to do this. Chen Yi naturally put his arms around her waist and just caught her waistcoat line. Women's toned body is very comfortable to touch. After a long time, Hu Juyu released his master. At this time, her mood had improved a lot, although she failed to participate in the games played by her senior sisters. But she kissed the master. No matter how you think about it, she wins. After letting go of Master, Hujuyu walked towards the field. She raised her long sword and summoned a bright silver armor at the same time. Chen Yi remembered this armor and the defensive method that appeared when the Devil Sky Sword art reached the first stage of basic accomplishment. The bright silver armor is particularly delicate. Not only does it protect her upper body, the leg guards on her calves are also very beautiful, and the arms and head also have the same armor. It is practical while not forgetting to decorate the bustling appearance. It must be said that this armor is very suitable for Hujuyu. It feels like cosplay. If I wear this armor next time. Hujuyu was very happy to see her master admiring her armor. After receiving the master's affirmation, she turned her attention to the field. Although the realm between her and the monsters is very different, fighting against the monsters in innate realm is not enough to make her feel tired. After several dexterous dodges, Hujuyu swung the giant sword many times, giving the monster fatal attacks. After a few rounds, the monster disappeared. Hujuyu's cultivation level was already about to break through. Killing monsters will give you a gift of cultivation. She just took this opportunity to break through to the 5th layer of acquired heaven. Feeling the improvement in realm, Hujuyu felt even happier. She walked towards the next floor with great interest. Hujuyu arrived at the 2nd floor of Junxian Tower. The 2 senior sisters and junior sister Bai had already disappeared. He probably headed to the next floor early. The enemies on the 2nd level are 2 levels higher than those on the 1st level. Hujuyu did not hesitate, once again raised the giant sword and killed him. Although her level is not as good as that of her senior and junior sisters, she still wants to do her best to reduce the gap as much as possible. The trial at the Immortal Suppressing Tower lasted until the afternoon. Hujuyu climbed all the way to the 5th floor, encountered a monster in the foundation building stage, and then fell into trouble. The strength of the monsters is higher than that of ordinary monks, and they can fight against monsters in the foundation building stage. If Hujuyu encounters a monk in the foundation building stage outside, he may not be able to escape intact. Su Jiqian was trapped on the 9th floor at this time and encountered enemies from the 7th layer in the foundation establishment stage. Lang Luoli is on the 10th floor, 1 level higher than her. This made Su Jiqian sweat on her forehead anxiously, and she tried her best to attack the enemy. She wanted to kill the enemy as soon as possible so that she could catch up with junior sister Lang. She didn't want to listen to him unconditionally for a day. If the other party wins, I might face something terrible. And she was the one who proposed this competition. It would be so embarrassing if she lost. Bai Yahweh is above Lang Luoli, and is actually the highest among the disciples. Her realm is innate realm 3rd layer. Not only is her realm higher than that of senior sister Su, but her skills are also more agile. Not only can it slowly kill enemies, but it is also very effective against single enemies. Long Lan has disappeared long ago, and the disciples can't even see her shadow. Lang Luoli, who was trapped on the 10th floor, held the ice blue staff tightly in her hand. Countless ice picks hit the body of the turtle-shaped monster, but the monster remained motionless. The scene reached a deadlock for a while. The room on the 10th floor had long been filled with a thick layer of snow due to Lang Luoli's skills. Lang Luoli's snow-white skin and slender, well-proportioned legs were particularly tangible in this world of ice and snow. Her delicate and cold face is full of seriousness and perseverance when she falls in love with the monster, and she is full of temperament. Lang Luoli discovered that the turtle-shaped monster was becoming more and more difficult to move due to the drop in indoor temperature. Seeing this scene, Lang Luoli had a plan in mind. She raised her staff high and controlled the temperature in the room to drop rapidly. Snowflakes scattered all over the sky wantonly, and the monster was soon covered by the snow. Lang Luoli seized the opportunity and released the ice falling technique again. She first trapped the monster with ice cubes, and then stabbed it in the head with an ice pick. The monster beast was hit and collapsed directly to the ground. But it didn't turn into a stream of light and disappear, it was obviously still alive. Lang Luoli knew that with the defensive capabilities of this monster, even if she attacked a few more times, she might not be able to kill the monster, but would only anger it. She had no choice but to take advantage of the opportunity when the monster lost its ability to move, completely freezing it and temporarily controlling the monster. Give yourself a chance to breathe first, and then think of a solution. Lang Luoli leaned against the wall, adjusting her rapid breathing and the movement of spiritual power in her body. Chen Yi has been watching this scene from outside the venue. The girl breathed in the cold air, and wisps of mist floated in the air along her mouth. Lang Luoli was not afraid of the cold, but because of the temperature, a blush appeared on her nose and joints, embellishing her beauty like a highlight. In the cold weather, Lang Luoli was still wearing a long tulle skirt and no stockings. Her slender legs looked particularly white due to the reflected light from the snow. Chen Yi felt that Lang Luoli was really breathtakingly beautiful at this time. No one can be more temperamental and perfect than Lang Luoli at this moment. Chen Yi couldn't help but be stunned. Yesterday, Chen Yi made up his mind to make his feelings for her clear to his second disciple. But since there were other people around all the time, Chen Yi was embarrassed to speak. There is no one else here now, so it is the best opportunity. There is no time to delay, you must say what you need to express. Thinking in his mind, Chen Yi jumped down and landed in the field. His feet made a crunching sound on the snow. Lang Luoli was naturally surprised when she saw her master appearing. But soon, she thought of yesterday's scene. Yesterday, she peeked at Master through the ice sculpture and was discovered by Master. I was so shy that I had to find a crack in the ground to crawl in. Master came to her when no one was around, so he must be telling her about this. Will Master be angry with her because of this matter? What should she do? She didn't want to displease her master. Master is everything to her. If Master hates her, how can he live in this world in the future? Lang Luoli had already taken a step and planned to step forward and hug her master. But because of the thoughts in her mind, she stopped where she was for a moment and did not move. Chen Yi found that the second disciple's reaction was unusual. He stepped forward and took Lang Luoli's soft, thin hand. Lang Luoli felt a warm touch coming from the palm of her hand. She looked up at the master shyly. Her eyes were full of emotion, but there was also a hint of fear and worry. At this moment, Chen Yi opened his mouth and said, "Lear, my teacher discovered yesterday." Before Chen Yi finished speaking, Lang Luoli's whole delicate body suddenly started to tremble after hearing half of it. Master is indeed talking about what happened yesterday. Master is going to be angry with her or hate her. No, she doesn't want to. Her delicate body couldn't stop trembling, and a few tears appeared from the corners of her eyes. Lang Luoli desperately stepped forward and hugged Master tightly, burying her face in Master's arms. She choked with sobs and said while crying, "Ah, Master, Lear is wrong, don't hate Lear. Lear shouldn't peek at Master, please, don't get angry with Lear. Master can punish Lear at will, just don't drive Lear away." Her cold voice seemed particularly soft at this moment. She was crying so hard that she held onto Master's hand tightly, as if Master was going to disappear at any moment. Chen Yi was stunned when he saw this scene. His left hand naturally hugged Lang Luoli's snow-white butterfly back, and his right hand gently stroked Lang Luoli's hair. Lang Luoli's hair is a beautiful ice blue, as smooth as silk. Although Chen Yi didn't know why the second disciple suddenly became emotional, he felt that he had to comfort her. "You idiot, what are you talking about? How can I drive you away as a teacher, let alone hate you? My teacher will always be by your side, forever." Chen Yi's voice was low and gentle. When it fell on Lang Luoli's ear, she felt very comfortable. After hearing this, she raised her head excitedly and looked at the gentle face of her master. After hearing this, she raised her head excitedly and looked at the gentle face of her master. "Master." The disgusted expression in the fantasy did not appear in front of me. On the contrary, it was the master's gentle gaze. At this time, she also realized that the master was not here to punish her. She did such a treacherous thing as spying on Master, but Master didn't even get angry with her. Master is really great. Master, isn't he angry with his disciple? Lang Luoli was a little unsure. She sniffed and asked. Chen Yi nodded affirmatively. Of course, no matter what Lear does, I will never be angry. Lang Luoli was naturally happy to know that her master was not angry. But she was also a little curious. Since this was not the case, what was the purpose of Master coming to her? Then, "Master, are you looking for Lear to say something?" Chen Yi came to see his second disciple because he really had something to say. But after being interrupted just now, Chen Yi only focused on comforting her and couldn't say anything for a while. At this time, looking at the sincere eyes of the second disciple, Chen Yi was a little embarrassed to say the words that came to his lips. After all, this is the first time that she has taken the initiative to confess her feelings to her disciples. This kind of thing is a bit too. But no matter what, things have come to this point, and Chen Yi can no longer hide it. He took the second disciple's delicate jade hand and raised it in front of his chest. He swallowed first, then said, "Lear, my teacher has something to tell you. This sentence has always been hidden in my heart. I know that I should not say such words to my disciples. But I don't want to lie to myself anymore." When Lang Luoli saw her master looking at her so sincerely, her heartbeat quickened for a moment. She had a hunch in her heart that master was going to say something like that. Is it true that master will take the initiative to confess his love to her? Can such a happy thing happen? Just when Lang Luoli was thinking wildly, Chen Yi's gentle voice continued to sound. "My master has been lying to myself. The strong feelings I have for you are simply out of concern for my disciples. But actually I know it in my heart, but I just don't dare to admit it. This kind of relationship is not a normal master-disciple relationship at all. My teacher has always liked you and has some feelings for you. Lear, can you still accept such a teacher?" Chen Yi's voice trembled a little when he said his last words. It's him who's afraid. He was afraid that he would expose this layer of paper, but the second disciple didn't have that kind of emotion for him at all. If this is the case, can the two of them really get along as happily as usual in the future? Will his disciples find him disgusting, stay away from him, and eventually leave him? This time it is no longer the disciple who is afraid of the master leaving, but the master who is afraid of the disciple's departure. After Lang Luoli heard her master's words, she didn't react at all. The beautiful icy blue eyes stared at Chen Yi blankly, as if he had lost consciousness and was down. This short silence seemed to Chen Yi to be extremely painful. Because he was waiting for the disciple's reply, but the disciple did not reply to him. I don't know how long it took. Lang Luoli's delicate jade hands moved slowly. Her hand touched master's cheek and stroked it gently. At this moment, a bright smile appeared on her cold and delicate facial features. Although Lang Luoli didn't laugh much, it wasn't like she never laughed. But this smile was deeply engraved in Chen Yi's heart. That is a smile that cannot be described. Satisfied, joyful, honored, touched. There are so many emotions intertwined together, and there is an indescribable beauty. Lang Luoli originally thought that she needed to take the initiative to get the master's favor one day. But she didn't expect that master would take the initiative to confess to her this time. This kind of person you like also likes you. Make her extremely happy. Lang Luoli said with a smile. Her somewhat unique Yuji voice seemed particularly gentle at this time. Master, you are afraid. Lear can feel it. Are you afraid that Lear will hate master? Lang Luoli shook her head and continued. No, Lear will never hate master. Lear is really happy that you like Lear. Lear also likes master. I have liked him for a long, long time. The emotions that have been suppressed have made Lear do some extreme things. That ice sculpture is. But master didn't care. That's great. Master, let's get together. Let's start with kissing. While saying this, Lang Luoli held master's face and kissed it. At the same time, Chen Yi also hugged her, and the two of them stuck together. This time it was neither the disciple nor the master who took the initiative, but the two embraced each other at the same time. The girl's delicate body was extremely soft, and she just snuggled into Chen Yi's arms. The white legs that were wantonly exposed in the air were also tightly pressed together, trembling slightly. At the same time, I held master's hand harder. After a long time, Lang Luoli slowly let go. Because her body temperature had risen, the pandan she spit out was mixed with billowing heat waves. Master, are you afraid of the cold? Lang Luoli suddenly asked. The cold field created by Lang Luoli is very special, and even monsters in the foundation building stage can be frozen. But Chen Yi is not an ordinary person, so he can easily resist the cold. Of course I'm not afraid. Lear, what do you mean by asking this? Lang Luoli licked her lips and said with a smile. The kiss after the confession is indeed very different. Master, we are here, let's continue. As she spoke, she pulled her master directly and fell into the soft snow. The snowflakes stuck to their faces, like bright stars, setting off their perfection. In the immortal cultivation world, there are also 4 seasons of spring, summer, autumn and winter. In the deep continent where Chen Yi lives, these 4 seasons stand out particularly clearly. In winter, snowflakes all over the sky will scatter on the ground, creating a different kind of beauty. The dark nights in winter are longer, and the sun seems to have disappeared. I don't know what I am busy with, as if I am trapped. Although the moon is beautiful, in winter, only snowflakes are the main color of the world. If you look carefully, the snowflakes are not transparent, but white. The snowflakes have many forks and patterns. Although they are not full, they are well proportioned. Although snowflakes are very cold, when put into warm hands, they will turn into warm snow water. When people walk in the snow, they will make a creaking sound, and the soft feeling when their feet step on it is very comfortable. Although it is very cold in winter, you can run and move freely in winter. I will also naturally sweat a lot. Below the room where Chen Yi is located is the 9th floor. On the 9th floor, Su Jiqian was fighting against the monster in front of her. She fell into a stalemate. In her palm, the demonic palm struck out over and over again, attacking the monster in front of her. How come this monster won't die? We must go to the next level as soon as possible to catch up with junior sister Lang. Su Jiqian murmured. After dealing with the monster for a few more rounds, she gradually discovered the monster's weakness. Su Jiqian gathered all her spiritual power and released the final blow of the demonic palm. Sky-like evil energy filled the air, and a huge palm print suddenly hit the monster's body. Countless evil spirits swallowed it up, and the monster died miserably. After the monster died, it turned into a stream of light and finally disappeared into the air. Su Jiqian's realm has also been upgraded to innate realm 3rd layer with the rewards obtained from killing monsters. After defeating the monster in front of her, Su Jiqian gained the qualification to enter the next level. She was already looking forward to it, and junior sister Lang saw her surprised expression after she caught up. She opened her legs and walked upward. Come to the 10th floor. Su Jiqian shivered suddenly. There were snowflakes all around, and the unique cold realm released by Lang Luoli made her, a monk in the innate realm, shiver. The giant great monster in front of him was frozen into ice, and there was no one around him. On the other hand, there are several footprints and outlines in the snow, which are being filled with heavy snow and will soon be filled in. It seemed like someone had been lying here, not long ago. Hey, it's so cold. Junior sister Lang has already gone to the next level. It's so difficult to defeat the monsters on the 9th floor, so I'd better go out. Su Jiqian thought that junior sister Lang had already gone to the next floor, so she didn't stay too long. Although she felt unwilling to lose to junior sister Lang, the monsters on the 9th level had already exhausted her. Before leaving, she seemed to see a few fresh footprints out of the corner of her eye, walking towards the back of the monster that was frozen into ice. She didn't care either. Just missed it. On an unknown floor, Long Lan was facing a monster from the Violet Palace realm. The monsters in Violet Palace realm were real enemies even for her. She had just dealt with a monster beast from the Violet Palace realm 3rd layer, and she was already a little tired. In front of her is Violet Palace realm 5th layer, which is 3 realms higher than her. Can she still fight? Long Lan was hesitant and considered whether to withdraw. But soon, she remembered why she had to try her best to climb higher. In Long Lan's fantasy, Chen Yi once again grabbed her wrist with an expression. She just didn't know why, but Chen Yi's eyes were extraordinarily big and bright in her fantasy. Lan, other women are too weak. In this Tianshuan Palace, only you are worthy of me. You can actually defeat the monster in Violet Palace realm 5th layer. You are great, let's be together. Chen Yi's voice was extremely low, mixed with a bit of disgusting bubble sound. In this deserted immortal suppression tower, Long Lan smiled, leaned down with a face full of intoxication, and hugged himself tightly with his slender arms. It looks a little weird. A long time passed. Everyone finally gathered at the entrance of Junxian Tower. At the entrance of the immortal suppressing tower, Long Lan finally killed the monster and walked out with a satisfied look on his face. Hu Juyu and Su Jiqian were also waiting outside early. After Hu Juyu climbed to the 5th level, because her realm was low, the amount of cultivation required to break through was less. She broke through again and came to the 6th layer of Hautian realm. Bai Yahweh finally stopped on the 12th floor. Seeing Bai Yahweh coming out, Su Jiqian stepped forward curiously and asked. Junior Sister Bai, you are on the 12th floor, have you seen Junior Sister Lang? Su Jiqian was a little worried. If Junior Sister Lang went further than Junior Sister Bai, then she would lose. If not, then losing to Junior Sister Bai is better than losing to that cold woman. Bai Ya shook her head slightly, saying she didn't see it. Now except Lang Luoli and Chen Yi, everyone else is gathered here. Everyone waited for a long time, but they didn't wait until the two of them appeared. At first, Su Jiqian thought something might happen to Junior Sister Lang. But think about it carefully, with Master watching here, how could there be any danger? Maybe it was a stalemate in the battle. I don't know how long we have to wait here. Let's go take a bath and rest. After waiting for a while, Su Jiqian felt a little bored, so she stood up and said. Long Lan was a little surprised when he heard the word taking a bath. Monsters all have unique ways of cleaning their bodies. Bai Yahweh can groom his hair by himself, while Long Lan can use dragon flames to clean away all impurities on his body. Thinking about the last time she took a bath, when she turned into a dragon and was on her way, she fell into the sea and spun around twice. Soon everyone arrived at the hot spring pool. Long Lan saw everyone coming and was a little curious about how to take a bath. Under her gaze, Su Jiqian took off her clothes and ran into the hot spring pool. Hu Juyu also made the same move. Long Lan's face turned red after seeing this scene. Should I ask her to take it off too? How could the noble dragon king be honest with others? This is too shy. Before Long Lan could make any move, Su Jiqian jumped out of the water and hugged Long Lan's waist with her arms. Su Jiqian smiled and said, I know you are embarrassed, so I will help you. Long Lan, wait, don't touch me. Ah! Amidst Long Lan's cold screams, she fell into the water. Being dragged into the water without any warning, Long Lan was a little angry. But soon, she discovered that the warm hot spring water and the spiritual energy floating around seemed to be moisturizing every inch of her skin. That's how she got used to it. Gradually, an intoxicated expression appeared on his face. Su Jiqian will always be the nemesis of aloof personality. Bai Yahweh was also on the shore at this time, looking at the hot spring water thoughtfully. Since everyone is so comfortable soaking in it, she should try it too. But just soaking it like this will not soak it thoroughly. Soon, she had a new idea in her mind. Everyone give way. Bai Ya opened her mouth slightly and said. Long Lan was a little confused after hearing this. With such a small body like Bai Yahweh, how big of a splash can she make if she jumps in? Wait, that's not right. Shouldn't you be? Xiao Bai, don't. Long Lan shouted, but it was too late. In this empty room, after Bai Yahweh turned into White Tiger, the whole house seemed extremely small. Woohoo! Bai Yahweh screamed happily, and her huge body suddenly jumped into the water. Water splashed everywhere and sprayed everywhere. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.